Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. I'm also CEO founder of Cavness HR. At Cavness HR, we deliver HR to companies with 49 or fewer people. Our guest today is Byron Robinson. Byron, thanks for being here today.
Yep, of course.
So, this first question is probably the most important one I ask you all day long.
Okay.
Any new tattoos?
No,
No new
no,
tattoos?
no. I haven't. So the last tattoo I got, I think something on my wrist or my hand tattoo, and
Okay.
that was 2019,
Okay.
2019, and it's not. I haven't got any new ones since, not even because of any particular reason. Just I just haven't been thinking about it, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And I got enough for a lifetime. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably done too. I mean, I pretty much ran out of tattoo ideas. There's nothing out there I really don't want to get anymore.
Yeah, you have a lot of
Yeah.
tattoos. You have a lot of
Yeah.
tattoos. I remember you were showing it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably done. I may get my kids' names.
Okay. You'll do that. Yeah. You're getting
Yeah,
your kids' names.
yeah. Outside of that, nah, I'm good. I um I am happy that specifically for the hand tattoo
Mhm.
I don't know if I told you the story of it, but I got it so that I would never be employable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely executed on that.
Uh-huh.
But it was basically just taking a bet on myself.
Okay.
And I would not advise anyone to do that per se, but it worked out for me and reinforced, where I kind of wanted to go in my life.
Nice.
And yeah.
So next, during the Olympics, did you get the itch to get back into the track or any field, anything like? Did you get that urge again while you saw the Olympics going on?
Um Naturally, yes. I mean, I don't think I don't think that's ever not going to be the case. I'm always going to feel that way. I'm a very, I would say, a very competitive person, and just looking at it, it kind of bring me back to like just little moments that you kind of forget over the years. Um, but to be honest with you, not only do I feel that way about like competing there, it's ever more so now about doing things on the business side, with the Olympics, especially with track, the Olympic sport of track and field, because there's so much that can still be done. There's still so much that needs to be done, and you know, the what was it 2021? That was supposed to be the 2020 Olympics. When
Yeah.
I first saw that, that was more so like, because I still had it physically, and while I still have a little bit left in the tank, physically, now when I look at it, it's more like, oh, if we could market, athletes this way, or bring in this kind of sponsorship to provide more value to the sport. And those were more of the feelings that I got this go around watching the Olympics. But I'm always going to watch it and think that I can be there again.
So Olympics, so with 2020 Olympics being held in 2021 and then 2024, 3 years later, did that mess up like the timeline of athletes, right? As far as
Yeah,
like this,
absolutely.
like did that kind of mess them up physically or mentally or like, 'cause
Yeah,
they probably were like pretty rigorous schedules. Like, do they risk the race, this race?
yeah. So for me, after the 2020 season got canceled because of COVID, that's when I retired. Um, and principally it was because I put I banked everything on that season. Not just literally that year, but I would argue my entire life leading up to that. The first team I made was incredible. I walked away from it like, okay, that was cool. I got my first one out the way. Now the next team I make is going to be the one where I actually go for gold. And I would say in training, I really stretched myself in training to knock it out that season. So when it got canceled, I feel like I didn't have
So if there been
anywhere else
no
to
COVID
go.
in 2020, you would have been on the 2020 team or at
Well,
least competed for it.
I yeah, I definitely would have competed
Okay.
for it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I was gearing up for.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to take anything away from the people who went through, because
Yeah.
I'm retired. I'm on the sideline now. I'm just spectating. And I don't want to. I don't like the retired athletes who become commentators and become overly critical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not to say that I don't think that the athlete should be without critique. I just don't want to be that guy,
Yeah.
because you're always going to come off away. And I understand it. I will even argue that I empathize with it. We already have enough of that, and I just don't want to be another one of those guys.
Okay. Pretty talk. You talk about you're planning to move to Texas pretty soon and get more involved with University of Texas track team. Can you talk about that? Like, you be a mentor, a coach, like help
Yeah,
on the business side.
yeah. Well, I would say that I'll start with the ego reasons. I do want to be one of the bigger donors to the track program. at University of Texas. Um, and as one of the past athletes there that went on to do uh, pursue a career in entrepreneurship, I want to be able to provide kind of like that bridge to the student athletes there so they can see not to push them to be entrepreneurs because it's not for everybody, but to show them that just give them the full palette of what they can pursue professionally outside of just what they already know. Because you can be successful um, in a career that's not the traditionally successful ones, like
And
doctor.
especially now with all the NIL opportunities they have, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now, I do want to be very particular about this. I have no plans on being an agent or a manager of anything of that sort. If I ever did anything in that space, it would be invested into an agency. It would never be me being an agent. Don't have anything against it. One of my mentors is an agent. It's very influential in my life and pushed me to where I am today. To be quite honest with you, um, but you know, it, I believe not just the Texas athletes, but student athletes in general need to see more avenues of what they can do past the sport out, the untraditional things, because they already know salesperson, doctor, lawyer, coach. They already know stuff like that. But I don't know how often they see start an investment bank, start an investment company that's not real estate related or anything, you know, in that direction.
So all of these little kids, like 18, 19 years old, they're going to college, they're going to pay decent money, right? To play for. I think one time Nick Saban said on a TV show, or Bryce Young had a 7-figure deal here to start a game, right? Do you think these young men or women are like financially like educated enough to like deal with all this, or they're dependent on their parents and people like might have their best interests at heart?
Yeah. Well, they're definitely not ready for. I mean, there's nothing that they could have done with exceptions for them to prepare themselves for. Because if you even take away the money part, talking about the student athletes right now, you take away the NIL portion of it today, you still aren't ready because it's everything's new, and a lot of times, their first generation of their family to to go out and do something like that. Um, from what I see right now, it's the agents. Agents are now talking to athletes at an even younger age. You can look at it as provide value to teach them to kind of show them the ropes, or you can look at it as exploiting them. To be quite honest with you, but um, because I kind of feel for them. It's the wild wild west right now. I'm of the personal opinion that more kind of regulation is going to come over the years because right now it's just kind of crazy. And speaking of Nick Saban, like you brought up, I mean he was on record uh, for saying the reason why he retired was because it was just the sport of football at least was not it had moved to a space that he doesn't recognize. I mean, it was less about the value that the university will bring to the athlete and just about can you start me, can you guarantee me games, and how much are you willing to pay me? Um, it's from what I see right now, I don't see it to that degree yet in track, but I don't see why it wouldn't because the kids are running faster at even younger age now.
Yeah, I know. I saw recently. So the running back from Boise State, I can't remember his name, but he's like running like Barry Sanders numbers.
Yeah,
And the guys asked him on this news thing,
a
"Hey,
thousand yards, I think, in
yeah,
5 games.
yeah," and they said, "Hey, like we know like how much money you'll offer to leave Boise State to play for big time schools. Like lots of money. Why do you stay?" He's like, "'Cause I want to build a legacy, right?"
Yeah,
And most people are gonna take the money, right?
yeah,
'Cause, I mean, of course, everybody's economic situation is different, so that. But he's like, "Yeah, like
yeah. And by the way, I don't judge it either way. I under look, as I get older, I'm starting to judge things less and just try to understand and look at the full picture. And use that information to advise myself on what I should do or with my family. I completely get why someone would leave and just take the money, especially if you don't see yourself as going to the next level
yeah,
with it,
yeah,
and you just you want money. I mean, without it, you're gonna be hungry. You're gonna be a struggling college student, and,
yeah,
and we all know that. And I also understand the person who wants to build a legacy and be the person at the university they at if it was a smaller program.
yeah."
I get it.
So chill off subject. So I wish I could remember his name, but the Boise State running back and Travis Hunter. Between those two, who do you think has the edge to win the Heisman Trophy?
Right now, Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, the
Um,
stuff he's doing is like insane.
yeah, but I do want to be certain on this though. I think it should go to Archie personally.
Archie?
Yeah, 100
Of
percent.
course you do.
Well,
Why not? Why not Evers then?
um, Archie is. I mean, he's played more.
Has he? I
Yeah,
guess he has. Yeah.
yeah, he has.
Okay.
Now I believe, but it remains to be seen. I don't want to speak on what I'm hearing out of
Yeah.
Austin, but we'll see who starts in Dallas this
Okay.
weekend. But I don't know why Archie is not in the conversation, to be quite honest with you. Maybe because he's a new face. I
Yeah.
don't know, but he's throwing dimes,
Yeah.
like darts down like 50
Yeah.
yards down the field, right on the money.
And he got his granddaddy's Archie Manny's speed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Peyton Manning said, the speed gene passed skipped me and Eli.
yeah, yeah. He's a
Yeah,
baller.
he has some wheels on him.
Yeah, yeah. He's a people don't look at him as a dual threat, but I do. Um, he's balling. The team's doing well. The team's doing well. We have a very rough road ahead though.
Yeah.
It's
It was a wild ass week in the SEC this week.
yeah. No, to that, because I was talking. Funny enough, because the CEO in my company, he's a big college football fan. So first thing we do on Mondays before we even work, we'll briefly go over like things we got to
Mhm.
address as far as the company, but then we get right into the weekend with college football. Um, Bama losing to Vanderbilt. So there's a few things to take away from it. I don't want to be everyone else that's almost pretend like Vanderbilt isn't a program, like they don't train, they do the
Yeah.
2 a days and lead up to this, like they don't have their own story.
Yeah.
Um, I think what what we witnessed is the fall of one of the great programs led by
Yeah.
Nick Saban,
Yeah.
because Alabama has a ready to go roster to win a championship as far as talent. But what we got used to was the historic all-time coaching
Yeah.
that he brought to the program. And what you're seeing now, not to take away from the coach there right now, but he's not Nick Saban.
No.
That's just a
And
fact.
who is right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, and what we're seeing is the difference. You have the ready-made roster. You don't have an all-time great coach, if
Yeah.
not the all-time greatest coach, and you're gonna see some volatility on a week by week basis. And it's sad to see. I was telling my wife earlier, like, when we tell our kids how Alabama used to be, it's gonna be hard for them to wrap their head around that
Yeah.
because they're gonna think, oh, it's just Alabama. Like they're
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna look at the state, like who lives in Alabama.
Yeah.
You
Who
know,
wants to play there?
yeah, yeah. And I think it's behind the best days are behind us now. Not to say they won't still win
Yeah.
championships
They'll
or
still be
win games.
competitive. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll still be competitive, but the dominance,
But like winning 4 championships for 6 years, those days are over with.
it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I highly doubt it.
Did you see this where like after uh you see a link Kiffin news conference, they just beat South Carolina, asking questions, had the TV on right. And Lane was like, hey, I don't mean to be rude, but like this is the one time last time we've been, I want to watch this first, right? Like
I didn't see that,
yeah,
but I think we
Alabama game.
all were
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
approaching it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything on Saturday, but Saturday night at least,
Yeah.
but watch football.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I do want to say though, it shows the dominance of Alabama that if a team beats Alabama outside of Texas, we didn't do this, but when a team beats Alabama, they storm the field.
Yeah.
Alabama wins, they just walk back to the bus.
Yeah.
But it speaks to how great Alabama
Yeah.
is.
Vanderbilt won. They tore down a goalpost, marched the goalpost 3 miles to downtown Nashville,
Yeah.
throw them the river.
Yeah. And it was, you want to see people have fun, but I was just like, oh man, I never want to see UT turn that kind of program.
Yeah.
Acting like that over a regular season game. I know we didn't do that in track.
Yeah.
Like we were expected to win conference. Like that it's just what we did. And we'll enjoy it.
Mm.
Not to say we'll be sour in the moment, but I'm not it's not something I'm calling my parents about. You expect to win.
I know, right? So moving on. Are you still doing this President's Club with your company?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So for right now, it's a consultancy. It's a consultancy that's wrapped into the investment bank. It's going to be on a case by case basis, and it's basically for our clients. It's not exclusively, but what it's formed into is for our clients that aren't yet ready to receive essentially big money, but they know they will need it in the future. How can they get themselves there, today? whether it's managerial consulting or just fixing their capital stack to make it more attractive for a hedge fund or us to lend to them in the future. So right now it's a consultancy, and there's going to be a Forbes like element to it that I'm going to keep under wraps right now. But we want to both consult them and also highlight their companies to bring more exposure to them.
And you don't want to drink anything? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm
Good.
good.
Okay. All
During
right.
the day,
Okay.
we're during the day.
Okay. Cool. All right. And are you still like running track as workouts and stuff like that?
Yeah. Pretty much every morning.
Okay.
Like this morning I did it was sprints. I did two sets of a 250 100s with
Okay.
a 50-meter walk in between. It sucks, but I don't know, I just love doing it now. And it keeps you in shape. It's like if you do a sprint track workout,
Uh-huh.
it's it's like it's like the equivalent physically, at least it feels like.
Mhm.
I'm kind of exaggerating here, but like doing almost 3 days worth of weightlifting
Okay.
because like you're more cut.
Yeah.
It's very it's a very anabolic thing to do to sprint at high speeds.
And are you like tracking your performance? Like you're like, okay, I ran this thing today. I need to improve next day. Do things like that.
Um, I don't do it in a meticulous way,
Okay.
like because I mean I know what I'm doing, so I can just do it all in my head. Uh, like I can tell you workouts that I've done up to like 4 weeks back now. I keep track of my cycles, um, and I'm doing. I wish I did this when I was actually competing, but I do a much better job of knowing when I need to recover now
Okay.
because I'm almost 30 now. So I just cannot do. I can't train as hard as I used to when I was 20. I was an animal
Yeah.
to my own fault. Like it hurt me more than it helped me. But psychologically, I just could not do that. I just always went balls to the wall.
So next, what is capitalism?
What is capitalism? Um, I think capitalism. I would argue not what I think. What it is it's an efficient way to distribute resources. Uh, like, well, I mean, what is it? Literally, it's a market system based on capital. It's a way to distribute value to receive goods and services, and to exchange that value to the people who are producing it.
So why do you think in the United States specifically, capitalism has such a bad name recently, right? Like everyone's like wants to get rid of it. They say capitalism caused all these ills and stuff, or to argue it's the best thing ever. They
Yeah,
want like, why is the capitalism have like a bad moment right now, so to speak?
it's the stage of where we are, and at least for our country. I mean, if you this isn't the first time that a country it started from grassroots, grew itself into a powerhouse, um, and then became so powerful that the people within it fight. And then young people who grew up and all they saw was the success of it start to resent it. So they look at other places in the world and they start to question everything around it, only for the system then to fall on itself, to go back to the grassroots and just rinse, repeat that process over and over again. Um, and people just don't know any better. I mean, I, here's what I say to people who always, and these are kids normally, by the way, that make those arguments. It's like, okay, well, what system do you prefer, and why don't you put yourself into that system? Because they always say that like on an iPhone, and it's like you say you don't like capitalism, but you just don't like looking at the worst parts of capitalism in a glass house. I mean, because you clearly love capitalism. You're wearing designer clothes and you're saying it's on an iPhone. Um, it just doesn't make sense, to be quite honest.
This I don't understand. Like you have all these people that like they're anti-capitalist, pro-socialism, but then like if socialism is so good, why does all these immigrants coming from Venezuela live in the United States, right?
Yeah,
Why are they trying to escape socialism and that failed system and come to the United States? That's one thing that I don't get.
yeah. I commend you for even having a conversation with people. I'm open to doing here and there, just for academic reasons, for a thought
Yeah.
experiment. But whenever you see someone like really really engaged in that kind of talk, I just chalk it up as this isn't a serious person,
Yeah.
and more importantly, they're trying to do that kind of conversation instead of actually competing in the market.
Yeah.
Because you can in anything, you can always just quit the game and complain about the rules, or you can just learn how everything works and then see where you fit in it. And I'm not a revolutionary type. I'm just not. I'm not that. I'm not gonna you never see me marching anything or protesting a single thing. I'll just learn like who are the players involved, how are they operating, and what do I need to do to further myself and my family personally.
So capitalism, it is a game, right? How does someone win at the game of capitalism?
Oh, well, produce value to the marketplace. And that can take place like it'll take the form of literally anything. I mean, there's people I know people who make serious money on TikTok that make me think that like, why am I doing this slow process, a sales process, business like investment banking? Um, there's, I mean, you just learn how to make money. Now, I'm saying just it's straightforward, it's simple, but not easy, and the number one thing that I found the reason why someone doesn't uh produce something to make money in the marketplace is because they don't think that they can. You gotta you gotta have, what do we call it, cojones to really to say you want to like say bring in 1 million a year and then go out and actually execute on a plan that do it. They just don't think they can do it, or they don't see themselves as someone worthy of that kind of money. It's unfortunate, but there's a lot of ways to make money.
Do
A
you
lot of
think
ways.
that's because they're surrounded by the wrong people and they get the wrong mentorship, wrong environment, or is it something internally?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I mean, we just talked about $1 million. So if you do that, you're in the top 0.1%. Um, so they probably think it's hard to get in contact with someone that can do that. I don't agree with that. I've always thought it out. I mean, I always went out of my way since I was in high school to talk to those kind of people. Not even to for them to give me money, but just understand how they think.
So do you think they might be intimidated to talk to these type of people? Like,
100%.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. Because there's so many laws. I talk about this with my wife all the time. I personally am disgusted where the state of like the entrepreneurial meme culture is, where because it's like you see the same thing like every 6 months or so. There's a new guy. It's normally a guy. There's some women too. I just don't want to say any names, but there's a new person that finds their way into one of your shorts. All right. And they're talking emphatically about something business related. They're kind of quirky. They I don't know. They all kind of say the same stuff. It's always like just rinse and repeat it. And you don't know where they came from. You don't know the business that they have. You don't know how many people they employ. You know nothing about them. But they're the new guru telling you what you need to do to make money. And normally it has something to do with buying a course from them,
yeah.
or buying a book or something of that sort. Or, going to one of their conferences in which they just upsell you, ad infinitum. And I can look at it now and just laugh about it because I know these people aren't like I know who the people that you should be listening to. And but the issue is that there's a high schooler or a middle schooler or a very impressionable 22-year-old that will look at that, and because this guru is telling them that the guru works 20 hours a day, they say, well, I get tired. I can't work 20 hours a day. I sleep for at least 6. So it doesn't work for me. So then they think they can't make money. And it's ridiculous when you say it out loud, but that's where if you don't have like a mentor that has been there and done it, that's what they're relying on. And it's sad because then the cycle just repeats. Then they don't make money, then become a socialist down the road. And they end up having kids and just push that on them.
So I think like back in school, everyone knew someone like someone who go to the grocery store would say buy some lollipops for $2 and then sell them for $1 each, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think ever like most people don't think like that, right? I think it's entrepreneurial mindset, right?
Yeah.
Is that something like we can teach people, or just like either like okay, you're either entrepreneur or you're not entrepreneurial?
Um, Perhaps. I mean, this is a heavily debated topic. It's funny because you asked it so casually, but like people really go back and forth
Yeah.
on this. I As I get older, because I'm not old, but I'm basically 30 now. So I don't know what it is. Something about like 28 or 27. I just started looking back like at my childhood up to this point. And I've always had the entrepreneurial bug. Like my uncle, he he tells this story about how the first time that we met, I was like, I was 5 years old, and the first thing I asked him was, "Are you rich?" You know, because I've always had my mind on like just producing profit of some kind of way. Um, I I lean towards that you just have it in you, but it's not to say that you can't make yourself an entrepreneur, but there's a certain like risk threshold that entrepreneurs just you naturally just know how to live with. That's just not for everybody. It's just not. It's just not for everybody.
And so you're married now, right?
Yes,
You have a kid on the way.
yes, the son.
What if your kid is not as driven as focused as you? How are you going to deal with that?
Um, he's just not.
Okay.
He's just not. I'll make him more that way just because it's just the nature of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I don't think you should change people. To be honest with you, I just don't think you should change people. You should let people. You should lead people, guide them, but let them make their own decisions. Now, if he came to me and asked, "Dad, what do I need to do to do X, Y, Z?"
Mm-hmm.
and it was within my wheelhouse, and I gave him I gave him a checklist to make sure he was sure that this is what he wanted to do at that given time, then different story. Then I'd be pushing him. I'm gonna push him
Uh-huh.
regardless, to be the best version of himself. Um, but if it's just not him, it's just not him. I can't make him be that way.
Okay.
What do you think though?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta let your kids be your kids, of course you always want to be a better version of yourself. The problem is they need to be a better version of themselves, right? Not yourself, I think, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And I think too many parents like push their expectation on their kids, right? And it's tough not to do, right?
yeah. Well, at least I can only imagine. I I understand that. Well, the best thing that I think that I can do to push my kids is to be the thing that I want them to be. With no words needed after that. Just be the man,
Yeah.
and then they'll aspire to be that. At least for my sons. Um, but I don't know. I mean, if I don't want them hating me just
Yeah.
because I push them so
Yeah.
much, and I already know out the gate they're going to feel something, because I mean they're going to look at their dad
Yeah.
and
I mean, you
just
have
see
a
the
constant
stuff.
things, right? Like you're an Olympic track athlete, they have to lift with that. You're great businessman have to lift with that, So there's some pressure just involved with that, right?
Yeah, or at least I would imagine. Now, I think for me, I wouldn't feel it as pressure. I would just take it on. Oh, I mean, yeah, there's pressure to it, but I'll get excited about it.
Mhm.
But I don't know his temperament.
Yeah.
We got to see, and we got time. I mean, we have time to at least for me to get to that part. I mean, I just want to enjoy,
Yeah.
him as a
Yeah,
person, as a
definitely.
human
Yeah.
being. A smiling child in this world that's just it just loves everything. I want to enjoy that part first, and then as he matures into, someone with their own
Mhm.
thoughts and way of navigating the world, then kind of see where it goes from there. But I don't want to do too much though, because I don't like when people do it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the number one thing that I needed was less of everything. I just because I already had it, so I didn't need people trying to bring it out of me. I just needed them to leave me alone and let me do my thing.
Yeah, I know that's a big deal too. Is money real? Like, and if it's real, how can we just print out trillions of dollars of money like it's nothing? Like, is the concept real? Is the money is it just a made up concept? Is like,
Yeah. Well, no. Well, currency is not real. Oh, I mean, currency is just a way to display value. Um, and even like back in the COVID era, they printed okay, I mean they did create money because they bought treasuries in mass that they could then use to basically convert into the currency. But you can print currency, you can't print value. Um, so I mean it's a there's a gray area there. I mean money is real because like if I wanted to sell you this Texas hat uh for an iPhone, um I would have to basically give you a bunch of hats for the iPhone. And money is just a way to say, okay, well, the value of these hats is this, and I'm gonna display it with this, as an intermedium. Um, and I'll just give you that instead for the iPhone. I mean, that's all that money is. Um, now it came about backed by gold completely. But once we became off of the gold standard, not so much. But the government prints, they technically print money. They can print money. There's a very convoluted process of doing that. They can print money, but they can't print value. They can give you all the money in the world, but if it's worthless, I mean, would you take Venezuela? Would you take $1 million and whatever the currency that Venezuela uses? I mean,
Yeah,
of course
no,
not.
no way, no,
Yeah, because it has no value
no.
to it. And I mean, and not to go all the way down that rabbit hole, but only reason why our money still has value now is because we offshore the inflation to other countries, essentially.
Is this true? I think I'm probably making this up, but something like the value of the United States dollars was 80% or something. Now it's down to 70%, or is it like the cost or the value is degrading versus a world currency or something like that?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So, so, so,
I think I know what you're
so
saying,
like
but can you word
back
it
back in the
differently?
day, like a dollar was really worth 80 cents
Hmm.
and compared to other markets. Now it's down to 65% or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Since like the 30s or something
I think so.
around
Yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah. Because of inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, I'm no economist. I'm a banker. Um, so I try not to, I try to speak, for what it is and not my personal input. But you can make a case that you need inflation, especially as you have more people, and you need inflation to coincide essentially with the growth of GDP of your country, because you don't want a situation where you have the capacity to produce a lot, but you don't have enough money. That's deflation. You don't want that.
No,
But
no.
you don't want what we've been experiencing, too much of the opposite of that too. Not enough goods and services and too much money. But then the price of everything goes up. So you got to find a middle ground. But if you look at it that way, because population growth, I mean, has been happening since the beginning of time, um, barring any kind of exotic event. So you do need inflation to kind of keep track with that, so you can keep growing your GDP to a certain degree. But it can't be out of whack.
Okay. Do you think we should go back to the gold standard,
Um, so I think we should.
or does that really matter?
Um, I'm in favor of a gold standard. But
So, cause what I really what only thing backs up the money now is like U.S. government, right?
right
Oh,
now, yeah,
okay.
our money. I mean, money is credit, so it's backed by the full faith of the government ability to repay it. Yeah.
Okay.
The issue with going back to the gold standard today is that the deflation would essentially bankrupt us.
Okay.
I mean, people would you've inflation is bad, especially the inflation that we've been feeling, but it'll be a lot worse if we experience the equivalent rate of
Okay.
deflation. Um, it's a bad thing. And I think ultimately that's what the government wants to avoid the most is deflation.
Okay. So does that really matter in the big scheme of things if you're in debt, whether as an individual person or as a company? Does that really matter if you're
Yeah,
like in debt?
yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
does that matter? Like, is it a bad thing? Can it ever be a good thing?
Oh, it depends on what the debt. If it's consumer debt, that personally, because I'm fiscally conservative. So I mean, if it's I don't use credit for like TVs and clothes and stuff. If you're using debt to purchase an asset and that asset yields a return higher than the interest on the debt, then I mean you're getting good return on equity. I would assume at least. Um, yeah, I mean debt. We wouldn't be where we are right now as a country without debt. I mean, point blank period. That's a fact. That's what it is. When a bank extends you money, I mean that's debt. Any kind of money a bank extends you, by the way, is credit. And we just wouldn't be here without it. I just as long as that is used for assets though, but people use debt for things that have nothing to do with actually making money. I mean, they use it for the most silliest of things. There's kids that wear the shoes that I'm wearing right now, and they buy it completely just on a credit card. That's crazy to me. That's that's bizarre because I would never do that personally.
What's your take on the recent interest rate? Um, I can't think of a word. Not hike, but like the other thing, like the
Um,
decrease. Yeah, decrease.
decrease.
Do you think they went far enough? They should have decreased it by more.
Um, Here I have to opt out. I have to say I'm a banker, so
Okay.
I can't you know I can't tell you my opinion on it.
Okay.
But I will say that It remains to be seen if there will be more decreases for the remainder of the year.
Do you think the timer is right for the decrease?
Um, it depends on what the Fed is trying to do. Now the latest payroll numbers that came out showed an increase. So I mean, you can make a case that they actually decreased rates too early. To be honest with you, because they you don't want a situation like that because then the labor market's getting hot again. They increased. I mean, from what Jerome Powell said, they increased the rates so that they can slow down the economy. But if the payroll numbers come back hot, then that shows a labor force that's not slowing down. So you can make a case that they did do it too early,
Okay.
but it remains to be seen. With the economies, man, it's like gumbo. There's so much like in that soup. Any economist that's trying to tell you like in a black and white fashion that something is completely good or completely bad is trying to sell you something because there's no way that you would know.
Yeah.
There's just no way that you would know.
And of course, the conspiracy theorists out there, they'll say they did what they did to help influence, one person, other person to win an election, right? Which, of course, like,
I
I
don't
don't
rule
think,
that out.
yeah.
I don't rule that out at all. Um, it
But of course,
gets
people on the left say they're like, each side said the other side's doing it, right?
yeah, and that's the issue. Um, Jerome Powell was a President Trump pick chairperson at the Fed. Um, Now, since then, at least from President Trump, I mean, he said things that wasn't congratulatory towards him. But it's important to note that Trump put him
Yeah.
into that position. At least he appointed him. And who knows? Who knows? There's so much. I mean, because then you have to speak to the politics of the Federal Reserve. You have to know all the people that sit on the boards there, and you just don't know where their politics are.
No.
You can't. At least I can't say whether they're all the way left leaning or right leaning, or I just don't know. I don't know. I can't say.
So, does it really matter who's in power? Does it really matter if the GOP is in power or the Democrats, as far as like economy, running the nation? Does that really matter, or is this a system that runs it? You think?
Nah. I kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm sorry. I don't want to just keep see my I'm obfuscating the question, but it depends. It could definitely influence it. I mean, if you have someone that comes into power that is incredibly anti free markets, let's say business in general, they want to hike taxes to the moon, put in a lot of regulation, just that kind of thing. I mean, that would definitely influence the economy, and especially the stock market. I mean, that'd be the first. Actually, you see the stock market first because economies take a while to kind of play out. Um, but there is, I don't know, like the market is the market. Sometimes it does things that it's just hard to explain. But to say that a president doesn't have like influence in the policy that they're trying to enact, doesn't have any kind of influence, that's ridiculous. It definitely does.
So, of course, everyone knows about the United States stock market or Wall Street, right? But every country has their own version of Wall Street, don't they?
Most countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, how do like I'll make this up. Like, how does the quote unquote Wall Street in like say Hungary affect the United States, or is there more United States affecting other countries' Wall Streets?
It's more the US affecting
Okay.
other now another big one is the London Stock
Yeah.
Exchange.
Yeah. Okay.
Um yeah. It they would so the let's say like emerging markets, like third world countries, they affect our stock market so much as our so like you'll have hedge funds or mutual funds or whatever, some kind of fund, private equity fund that will put money into emerging markets. Now it is historically speaking, they don't put a lot of their book, like their balance sheet, into these funds. But if they start increasing their investment into those markets, and things will go, then it can affect if the emerging market fund doesn't do well, it can affect our stock market because some of our biggest companies will have some of their excess cash invested into the emerging market. Um, but it's these are offshoots. I mean, this isn't the bulk of what happens. It's normally the U.S. leading the way for other countries.
Okay. So obviously you have a lot of driver focus, right? But can someone have too much driving focus? Like, can you have so much driving focus like you kind of destroy the people around you? If
Yeah,
that makes any sense.
yeah. I mean that. Yeah, yeah. So, but now if you win, it papers over everything. Look at Kobe. You know, you if he didn't win those championships, we will put him in that category
Yeah.
as having too much. Um, and you can have it to a point where it literally kills you. I mean, I know a guy that's a hedge fund manager that I mean, he puts my work ethic to shame. I mean, when I see him work, I just want to like grab an ice cream and like just watch Breaking Bad because it's like I can't compete with that. Um, but he has literally worked himself to the point where I mean, he has two strokes. I believe he just left the hospital because it's look, run a company. I mean, that's the big leagues, and I literally ran the Olympics. Run a real company is the big leagues. There's I mean, you wake up, it's like you have um Molotov cocktails thrown at you, you know, from all sides. There's people threatening to quit. There's partners trying to cut you out of the deal. There's people, you know, like your main people that have something going on in their family. Uh, I've even experienced people like trying to start a coup, like in the company. And it's nonstop and it's unforgiving, and it doesn't care like what you have going on or how you feel about something. It's 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 a serious game, and you know, so whenever I see or hear a story about the hedge fund manager, I don't even judge it because I get it. Because sometimes you have to do that. You have to be in overdrive or look like you work too much to even maintain like the base level. It's it's kind of like just what it is. I'm not saying you have to sign up for that to run a company, but I mean I see it far too often. I mean, some of those things I just said were things that I went through, and I feel like I'm just getting started. Um, it's not for everybody.
And so, when did you start your company? What year?
Uh, about 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So where we are right now. Are you like? Of course, I think that's gonna be you're not happy, you're not satisfied. But being realistic, like if you go back to 2018, look where you're at right now. Would you be like, okay, I'm doing some things, or I'm
Yeah.
disappointing myself, or
No. I mean, if I go back in time and I knew I would be right here in 2024, um, I'll probably start crying, to be honest with you, because it's been an incredible, unusual level of growth for the company from then until now. Now, because I'm the one living through it, I like a lot like when I was running track, you don't appreciate it as much because you're currently going through it. You're thinking of ways to improve and things that you need to be doing. Um, but nah, you know, I don't take it for granted though. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I don't have to worry about immediate expenses. There's a base level of comfort, and I'm able to take care of my family.
so how do you do this right? I think a lot of entrepreneurs they're so focused on now, right? Like this, in my mind, they're struggling. I'm not doing nothing, but they just take a step back and look past 6 months. Oh wow, I've actually done some things. I moved it. Like your quote is like moving inch by inch per day, right? How do you
Mhm.
make sure you do that?
I don't think I do that well, to be completely honest with you. I'm still incredibly impatient. I still want like a lot of things in an incredibly short period of time. I wouldn't be the guy to give advice on how to execute on that right now, at least. In a few years, we'll see. But I just that's one of the things that I need to work on. Um, I'll have I'll say like every month or so, there's like a small moment where I'll realize it, but then it quickly just dissipate, and it's back to being like stressed and kind of agitated.
Can you talk about that? Like I think a lot of people, me included, I think you included too. Like we're pretty self confident. We know we're doing a good job, but there's like that insecureness too, right?
Yeah,
Like how do you balance that? Make sure the insecure doesn't take up too much of your time.
yeah. To be honest with you, I don't think for me there's even a balance there because most of the time I feel like I'm not doing a good job. I almost exclusively think that there's too much that I could be doing better. I think I fall short on most things, to be quite honest with you. Now, if you ask anyone in the company, I don't know what they would say. I would assume they wouldn't agree with that, but that's how I feel. Um, but I don't know if you'll ever not feel that way. At least for me,
Yeah.
I feel that way in track all the time.
And are you still doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Is that you do like every day? Talk about that some.
Um,
Is that like a hobby of yours that
yeah.
keeping?
Listen, I'm not going to compete. I'm going to be a hobbyist for the rest of my life. It's really fun. It is oddly really political too, though, depending on where you go. There's now it depends. There's caveats with that. If you're looking to increase your rank, so like get a new belt, and do that thing, as a hobbyist, it is very political depending on where you go. But for me, I just enjoy it for
You just
what.
do like a workout and meet people, so to speak.
No, I mean, you end up doing that,
Yeah.
but that's not why I do it. Um, I'm at capacity. I mean, I'm no longer at a point where I wake up and just want to just meet a lot of people. I'm open to doing it, but
Yeah.
I don't leave the door to do that. I,
So are you doing competitively any kind of way, or you just go there to like
I,
get your workout in and leave?
I do it just to learn more about the art,
Okay.
to be honest with you, because it's I don't know if you play Dota or like Counter Strike or something competitive like that. There's the surface level of it, like learning the mechanics, and there's like the deep, 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 deep game of it. And I just enjoy kind of getting deeper into the art of how to practice jujitsu,
Okay.
because it's a whole other rabbit hole. It's a thing in and of itself, and I just enjoy learning. I enjoy it the same way I like playing chess. Learn different openings, like Rua Lopez, or like just whatever. I look at it the same way as playing chess. Just it's just like a physical, very physical version of it.
And are you still like learning to play the piano?
I haven't started.
You haven't started yet?
No,
Okay.
I still want to learn. I'm
Okay.
I'm most likely gonna pick it up after the move,
Okay.
because now I have just too much on my plate.
And everybody more any new art pieces recently?
No,
No.
no. Um, there's a story I'll tell you off air, but there's a story behind that too. But no,
Okay.
no, no, no. It was heavily involved Museum of Glass though.
Okay. Oh
So,
yeah,
so,
let's talk about that. That's one of my questions coming up. How about being a board member of the Museum of Glass?
so I stepped down recently.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. So
Museum of Glass, that's the one in Seattle or the one in Tacoma?
Tacoma.
Tacoma, okay.
Yeah. They're awesome. I'm gonna start there. They're awesome. They are what they are doing in Tacoma. I hope to match one day in like at Texas. It's a very important like fixture in the city of Tacoma. Uh, Everyone there is great. I literally just have too many obligations.
Okay.
That was it, and I had to step down because I didn't want to do them a disservice
Yeah.
of being like the kind of frazzled
Yeah, and
busy
that's good
guy.
on you because too many people would have been like, okay, I know I can't give value to them, but I'll keep it on there just so I have another like feather in my hat, so to speak.
Yeah,
That's good on you, I think.
yeah, and
But too many
I
people are
appreciate
that.
that.
Too many people like that.
Yeah, and I just had to be upfront and just honest with the boards. Like, I look, I have like personal things going on. I'm about to be a dad. Just got married. I and like the business, it's just
It's
it's
too
just
much, right?
yeah. Especially as we're expanding and approaching like new initiatives that's going to require a lot of time. I just I just can't do it.
Is your company are you already global or are you planning on going global with the business?
The plan is to be global. I mean, technically, you can say that we're global now. It just kind of happened inadvertently, but we're going to be intentional about that over the next 10 years. Right now, core business is just stateside.
So I'm sure you have this plan somewhere. Like you have a plan, like maybe go like Vietnam first, China first, Germany first. You have
Yeah,
like that mapped up already?
yeah, it is
Okay.
definitely London.
Or
So,
London
so, so
first?
the- yeah,
Okay.
yeah, UK,
Okay.
UK first, and it's because it's the financial hub. I mean, if you're not in the US, for finance,
Hmm.
you gotta be in the UK.
Okay. And so all of us only have a certain number of spins around the sun. How are you going to make sure you take advantage of everything you can and be the best version of yourself with your remaining spins around the sun?
Um, I, I would say by just doing what I'm already doing. I mean, I still approach the day the same exact way with just doing five things every day. It has yielded great results for me. Um, Look, I have a great life, man. I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's like being in a party that never ends. And Like, that's why I was telling you before we went on air that, every time I see you, I feel like I lived a complete life since the last time that I saw you. I always feel I have a lot going on. And I just want to keep doing what I've been doing. I mean, I've grown company, met my wife, have a son on the way. We're preparing for a move. My family is doing well, by the way. I'm in a good swing of things. Whenever I see one of my friends, I tell them like, I feel like I feel like it's weird for everything to more or less be doing well. Because you almost feel like you should be preparing for something to happen, and trying not to do that has proved to be difficult for me. Because just I don't know. It's just who I am. I'm kind of like just waiting for the pin to drop, for something bad to happen around the corner.
When was the last time you took a real vacation?
I went on a vacation. It was like a 3-day vacation to Oregon. We was on the Oregon coast.
Okay.
Took my wife. That was what, like 2 months ago.
Okay.
But even then, I was
Yeah,
working. But
vacation.
yeah, but that's what it is now, though.
Yeah,
It's like
it is.
it kind of just blends in because I don't have to. It's not like a fixture where I have to be at a certain location all the time. So I move around a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, you can argue that I'm always on vacation. 'Cause I'm taking calls like while I'm on a hike
Yeah.
or just doing something. But the last intentional one was to Oregon though. It was beautiful too.
Nice. Um, can you define quote unquote doing the work? What does doing the work mean to you?
Doing like a hashtag.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, just doing the work.
I don't know because I don't like it. I
Okay.
don't like when people. I don't like hustle culture.
Okay.
I personally. And you know what makes me mad is that I'm put into the category because I get it. I do speak along the lines of hustle culture, but I just think there's so many people in there just full of it. Like I I think the people who pound the table the loudest about being the face of hustle culture, I think they work the least. Because if you were really grinding like that,
Yeah,
you
you'll be
wouldn't
talking about it. Yeah.
you wouldn't be talking about it, and you wouldn't have the time. Do you think you're gonna see Jamie Dimon like doing stuff like that? No, he's too busy running, the biggest bank in the world. And the real players that I have met are like that. They don't need to profess it because their results are showing it. And that's why I stopped doing as much talking, like um in general. Like I'm just like, well, one, like there's a certain part of it where you have to talk it into existence. That's true. At least I believe it. But then once it starts existing, you're busy living it. So like, you don't have time. And then you get into lawsuits and like just crazy people. And I just as of late, I just prefer to just to be more under the radar personally.
Yeah.
Because everything that it comes with, like being out open, it's not to me, it's just not worth it. I didn't like it in track either. I just never my peers would do more of that. And I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing where like Will Smith said one time that he had to allocate like $4 or $5 million a year just on lawyers to deal with people suing him for like crazy bullshit things.
Yeah. I didn't hear that from him, but I've heard similar things from people of that stature. And I think um I think 50 Cent said he does like around 2 million a
Mhm.
year for the past like 20 years. And I can tell you without getting too much in detail that I get it. I see it. I understand it. I mean, I can only imagine, but that's why I don't really do too much though.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of like the stuff that I normally do, I don't like you're not gonna see me at a party or I keep the networking events to a minimum, only if I absolutely have to. I'm just not into it. I prefer like doing my thing and then spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Like the my favorite thing to do, like as I wind down at night, is play Town of Salem with my wife.
Okay.
Like it's the funnest thing in the world to do. Cause I don't know if you ever played Town of Salem, but it's a mafia like game where everyone has a role. There's a town, there's a mafia, and there's like these neutral roles, and you just act it out. Like it's fun. I like it, and I love seeing the smile on my wife's face like as we play it because it's I mean she genuinely enjoys it.
So what's a skill you don't have that you want to learn? But when you do like the cost benefits analysis, you're like, man, I want to learn this, but I just can't. I don't have the time to do this right now. Maybe
Uh,
later on, but just I
like
can't
a
do it now.
specific skill.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I'm struggling to think, and it probably comes off away because it makes me think like I have all the skills of the world. I, um, I don't know. Here's why. I can give you like the intangible skills, but something tangible, I don't know because my job doesn't require it. Uh, it doesn't require it at all. Actually, it's kind of coming off.
We can fix it real fast. So next one, how do you provide value?
There you go.
Cool. Right.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
What was that?
How do you provide value?
Um, so one by identifying the problem, because I think that's the hardest thing to actually do is identify the real problem, not the problem that most of the times I would say the problem is something that isn't openly said. You have a meeting with your main people and you're talking over whatever issue or whatever deal, and you know having the wherewithal or in the field to understand what they're not saying and then to address it, to address what's inferred but not explicitly said. I think to go back to the other question first, that's the biggest I think value that I have to give, to be quite honest with you. And then kind of find so my job is to be like is to be the orchestrator. It's to kind of take this ensemble of like many parts and get it all going in one direction, establish a culture, make sure everyone can take care of their family. Um, but it's very much easier said than done because I mean you're dealing with randomness and you can't bottle something. I mean your job as CEO is to bottle randomness and to uh, kind of have it take the form that you want it to and to move in a direction that everyone agrees with. Uh, and I would say that my ability to do that is the biggest thing I have to offer to the company. Because if not, I mean, everyone there can, I mean, they can sound off numbers faster than me. They could do probably most things, most things. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I can work a deal. I'm good at it, but the I mean, they're better at doing that one thing specifically better than me. And my job is just to see the entire board and to make sure one also to make sure everyone's in the right position too, and then to get it all flowing in the right direction.
So like, don't talk specifics, like generalities. Like, how does a company use yours to get money? Right? Is like they get referred to you, or like they have to do an application process. Like, how does all that work?
Like how do we find out about
Yeah, like
what?
like pose like ABC Towing wants to do a $20 million debt equity to expand their franchise across the Southeast United States.
Yeah. So 70% of our book of business is through referrals, and then the other 30% is through it's called advertising means or means of advertising. Um, yeah. So for that company specifically, they probably wouldn't find out about us specifically, um, unless it was from that 30%. Because then for them to find out about us, they would have to already know someone that knows someone.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so not that we wouldn't work with a company like that. It probably wouldn't happen because they just wouldn't know about it because most of our business is through referrals. Um, and then so I mean we'll have a consultation call with them to figure out who they are, what they have done, and what they're doing today. Discuss some options for them. Then they'll follow a know your customer form, and then we'll tell them what we think we'll be able to do, and then we take it from there. I mean, we the biggest benefit I believe that we have over a company that has been doing this for over 100 years is that we have the ability to be more personal and kind of just relate to them more, and have more of a human element. Because if you're a boutique, or not even a boutique, but just a smaller company than the giants, that's what you have to rely on because they can't do that because they have too much scale. They can try to do that. They can do it to a certain degree, but it's the one thing that you can go deeper on because you just have more space and opportunity to do it.
So what's the time like when a company first comes to you? Is the time like get the money with the 6 months, 3 months, or is that obviously? I guess that depends each time, right?
It does depend. I would say on average right now is about 6 months,
Okay.
which is taken longer over the past 2 years or so, and
Okay.
that's only because of markets. Uh, no one knows where interest rates are going to go, no matter how confident they may seem. Now we have a strong opinion on it, a qualified opinion on it, but we don't know. And because of that, with the capital sources, the investors that we work with, they if we don't know, they don't know.
Yeah.
And we kind of have to work on their timelines on that. But a lot of times it's not even just because of the pricing of it. If you're looking for just pricing, like just the absolute cheapest rate, um, we're not the option for you.
Okay.
I mean, we could do it, but we're not going to advertise ourselves as that. We're not all the way there, but we're kind of a special situations group now. So you can afford a more hefty interest rate. You need the terms of the financing to be more flexible though. We're a flexible shop.
So after the deal is closed, do you do anything else with them? Do you help like mentor them? Do you keep in touch with them? Like, what do you provide after the deal's closed, so to speak?
Yeah, well, we'll keep in contact to see. Well, let's make sure you don't. I mean, you spend that much time with someone and you know everything
You're building
about them.
relationships and stuff.
Yeah. So there's a human element to it of just checking in on a peer at that point. And then it's to see because most of these loans are not 10-year loans.
Mhm.
These aren't like commercial mortgages. A lot of these are bridge loans that need to be refinanced out after a year, 18 months or so. So it's just seeing that they're good, they're liquid, their capital stack is strong, and to make sure they don't have any drama going on. Because if so, that's where the President's Club would kick in, and we'll provide the support through the consultancy.
So obviously, you want all your clients to pay back their loans, right? But in your business model, is there like a certain percentage that can go bad and you're still good? Does that makes any sense? Like, is that
Yeah,
risk factor in there? Like, okay, we're gonna
it is.
factor in 20% and won't pay it back because whatever.
Yeah, well, because our core business is to broker it. So if they don't pay back their loan, it doesn't damage our book. So like our balance sheet per se, it damages our reputation though, because the firms that we partner with to fund the loans, they're relying on us to bring good credits to
Mhm.
them, good deals. And if we're presenting the deal as a surefire, more or less thing, and it goes south, then they're not gonna want to work with us. And we do bank for that, but I mean it's credit. So there's always going to be risk involved, and they understand that. Our capital partners, they understand that. It's never a good situation though. We have explaining to do. I mean, these are companies that can fund easily like a $50 million deal just like that. And so they understand there's going to be good and bad. They want to weigh the risk out correctly. But it's not a good situation for us to be in either though, because again, we have explaining to do in that situation.
So you have a certain people or organization you go to right now. Is a plan like expand that set of people you go to or organization you go to?
Yeah. So funny enough, we it used to be just to go sheer volume, but what we learned is that it's better to have a fewer number that we can just go deeper with because there's not but so many clients at any given time. And I mean, look, there are places where they'll take it and just shop it to 1,000 different places. We don't do that. So we have 30. Now we don't get me wrong. We have hundreds. But we have our top 30 that we see as true business
Mhm.
partners that will tailor the deals that we bring to them too. Yeah, and those are the 30. I actually had a conversation with one this morning. Those are the core ones that we're really focused on right now.
These organizations do like does one of them tend to only do like construction loans? One only tends to do real estate. One tends to only do like infrastructure.
Yeah, but so that 30 that I just mentioned, these are for everything not real estate related.
Okay.
Real estate is a crapshoot. I think you should go volume for real estate because just who's feeling good about that opportunity at that specifically, given time. But for everything non-real estate is what I was referring to.
Okay.
But yeah, but you're right though. I mean, you have to sift through a sea of because at the point of you enunciating that, tomorrow they may have different parameters in which they're lending to. So you have to be on top of that. And it's a forever change and see. Like at any given moment, their box could change of what they're actually lending to.
So I know you'll do public PR releases sometimes about different things you've done, like partnership with cities, or can you talk about anything about that? Like
Um,
any partners with cities or anything exciting coming up you can talk about?
no,
Okay.
at least not anything specific through the investment bank right now.
Okay.
Uh, I got in trouble last time.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, like, I don't want to say the name, but we recently did a partnership with the city.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Okay.
about. I can't speak to that.
Okay.
At least not in any real detail.
Okay.
Anything I say will
So
come
how does
out.
that work? Like, is it the city reaches out to you and say, we need funding for this project? Or, and it's,
Um,
I guess the question is profit versus nonprofit a different aspect of the business?
for us,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. If now we're talking about municipality, that's different. We're putting that in a different bucket than nonprofit. Um, but funny enough, uh, a lot of times nonprofits they are actually more I don't want to say careless, but just more loose with their finances. In my experience, from what I've seen, I don't want to speak for all, but be, from what I've seen though, because they're not beholden to profit, it's just they're comfortable paying a higher fee. And I thought that was interesting. Like it's
That
a,
is kind of strange because it's still a business if you think about it. I mean, the tax structure is different, but you still got to,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
but I tell you what, to go back to everything we've been talking about with capitalism, when you're beholden to a profit margin, it makes you more disciplined. It makes you a lot more disciplined. And it may be as simple as that for the nonprofit part, because they're not in it for profit per se. I mean, don't get me wrong, someone's making money,
Yeah.
but because on paper they're in it for profit, it just is more loose with their budget sometimes.
Yeah. So next question, like this is generalities, right? So this is like a big topic, big vision thing, like, almost conspiracy theories. Like, how did so, what's in Marcus Aurelius, right?
Yeah,
How did the human
meditation.
race, how do we go from Marcus Aurelius to Hitler, right? Like, how did that happen? Like, it seemed like we went backwards in time. Like, how
Um,
did the human race do that? You think you're like, you should keep getting better morally, ethically. And of course, it's a general question.
yeah. Well, Marcus was a philosopher king. He intellectual. All right. He
And I realize that's thousands of years, all that kind of stuff.
yeah. I understand the question though, but you can argue that most of what he has written, most of his work is academic. Okay. And as we know, there's a difference between doing something, for academic prose and doing something that has the impact of people that like getting people to rally behind something. When you put that people aspect into things, it completely there. I mean, you throw logic like out of the building. I mean, you go to a football game. You think people are acting logical there? Like, no. When you have a large body of people for any specific cause. I mean, it could be anything, anything. Um, you're going to see them take form in ways you didn't think was logical, per se. Um, you know, I'll be honest. I used to like growing up when we learned about the Holocaust, and like all the horrors with it. I used to say, how in the world, like, could something like that happen? Clearly, that was the wrong idea. Like, clearly, they were the bad guys. But to extract it from specifically the Holocaust to just like world events now, I can 100% see why like a country can get behind something that centuries later would be looked at as the wrong side of history because they think they're doing the right thing, and they look around, all they see are people who agree with them. Now, even during that time period, because Germany isn't absent of any great thinkers, so there are the people who off to the side that weren't publicized as much, who have written great work and done the whole thing that said very intellectual things against it, but they just weren't they aren't part of the mass. Like that's not what people care about in a situation like that. If you're emotionally involved, you're not thinking. Like you're really not thinking. You're just going off how you feel.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how close all of us are to be the most evil version of ourselves, right? We're not that far away. I mean, just you get unemployed, or like suppose electromagnetic pulse comes,
Yeah,
like we're not that far away from being like,
yeah. Because even during then the Holocaust or events leading up to it, they were experiencing hyperinflation.
mhm.
And I mean, we haven't seen hyperinflation here. At least not recently. But we have experienced inflation. We've seen things that could be um looked at synonymously with like bread lines. And just the smell of it, people you kind of felt uneasy. And trust me, when things get real, again, logic plays no role. You're thinking, how can I make it until tomorrow? How can I take care of my family?
Like crazy. Like I think last week they were having this dock worker strike, right? And I know down where I live at DuPont, the Costco there, they had a run on the toilet paper, right? I'm thinking, man, if y'all doing a run on toilet paper because the dock worker strike, what will y'all do if like shit really hits the fan, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really good example because I know remember during COVID
Hmm.
they did the same thing.
Yeah, toilet paper of all things.
It was the first thing to go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, also this is why I still have my opinions, but um uh, I'm definitely still critical, but I'm more understanding of like the little kid in the hood that's like that turns to being a deviant seemingly out of nowhere. Now if you empathize with that kid, he doesn't have any options. And because doesn't have any options, he needs to feed himself right now. And
He's
he
not looking tomorrow or nothing like that.
doesn't care about it. It means
Like
nothing.
I'm hungry right now.
Tomorrow means absolutely nothing to him. That's like speaking in pig Latin. Doesn't understand it. Doesn't even care to. Not applicable. He's hungry. You look like food. He wants to eat right now. And so I mean, if you look at it that way, in a lot of ways, I understand it. Uh, Now the intellectuals can debate about how that kid got to that point. What happened to his parents? Are there any parents? The system. You can take it in a lot of different directions. But I get why people act off impulse, like, at any given time, especially if you feel like you don't have any options or any backup plan.
Yeah. So back to Marcus Aurelius, right? So if I have my history right, he was like the last of five great emperors, a Pax Romana kind of stuff. He did a lot of great things for his people, whatever. But then he picked his son Commandus to be his replacement, and Commandus like one of the worst emperors. Like, why do you? I mean, how do you think Scott and Marcus Aurelius made all these great decisions and couldn't see that his son was going to be such a horrible emperor?
Well, first I want to say I'm not totally adept to like that complete history, but on the surface, look, you ever heard the joke like if you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
Hmm.
It's look, it's a different thing to kind of throw theories out in an academic setting and and then to make the right decision when everything matters. It's just a different beast. Um, Also, I think retroactively for its work, we pick out the best parts
Yeah.
and highlight that,
Yeah.
and we just throw away the things that
Yeah.
that, that just wouldn't hit the same. Um, and it's family. I mean,
Yeah.
we all are blinded by the family aspect. I
That's
mean,
true.
you see the best in people that you love.
Yeah.
And again, and I don't judge it. I understand it. You just don't want that to happen with the entire, you know, nation behind you.
Yeah. So next, let's talk about one of your heroes, Alexander the Great.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So with him, people don't realize this. I learned this from listening to your podcast. Like he lived on like beer bread. Like he didn't really eat nothing like that.
yeah. He was a drunk.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great he was a drunk, and people don't know he was homosexual.
Mhm.
Alexander the Great was a drunk homosexual,
Oh wow.
and you know what? He was more gangster than all the big brawling
Hmm.
like warriors. Now he had size to him,
Yeah.
but he was more. I mean, you look at him. If you looked at him today, he would be looked at as frail, kind
Yeah.
of.
So what would you like become like a I want to say a Alexander the Great admirer, but what drew like that one specific like historical figure?
What do I think of him?
I mean, what drew
Oh,
you
what
to
drew me
him?
to
Yeah.
him? His sheer. I mean, at number one, absolutely is his fearlessness. Um, he just wasn't scared. He was insane. I mean, he didn't register like fear the same way that the normal person would. Um, and a lot like Napoleon, he was a strategic genius. I mean, he wasn't like a brute. I mean, there were times where he would brute force,
Yeah.
like certain battles, but he wasn't just like a dumb brute, like charge at you, like kind of general. That he was very strategic. He um he was very intelligent. He was a well put together person. Like he was athletically fit, and he was. I mean, he grew up under philosophers. I mean, he this was we're talking about a very well rounded person.
Yeah. I mean, his father Philip did a lot for him too, right? I think
Yeah,
he had a good father figure.
yeah, yeah. Um, oh, you do know about Alexander.
Not as much as you, I'm sure.
But yeah. So that's interesting because he grew up. He grew up with a dad that was the man.
Mhm.
And I wondered to what degree that played a role, like how much of that was nature versus nurture.
Yeah. And it's like Marcus Aurelius. People don't know this, but like, I can't remember the emperor before Marcus Aurelius, but for some reason he saw some Marcus Aurelius said, I want to make this, I'm gonna adopt this guy, make him my grandson. But until then, I'm gonna name this other guy the emperor, right? Thinking this other guy's gonna die like in 4 years. He's like in the 70s.
Hmm.
Well, the 70-year-old dude actually lived for 20 more years. And so from the time I think Marcus was like 12 to 32, he was like an understudy for this emperor, right? So he had like a pretty much a 20-year internship how to be emperor, right?
Mm,
So I think that probably played a role in like how great people think he was as emperor
mm.
versus a lot of bad emperors in Rome was like, like they became emperor at 13 years old with all this power, like that shit crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Back to Alexander. So one was his fearlessness, and then I want to re-highlight like just how well rounded he was. Because that's part of the reason why I retired from track. Because I mean I did it. I kind of I can kind of see the ceiling.
He didn't want to be like a one trick pony, so to speak.
Correct. And when I looked around or would talk to my peers, at least they saw themselves as my peers. Um, I didn't get the depth that I was quite looking for. I didn't quite feel comfortable like just being bunched up like intellectually with like that crowd, and I just felt like this doesn't get me closer to the person that I want to be like when it's all said and done. So I just felt like my time was up. It's time to pursue other things. Um, and I would say it was a lot to do with Alexander because I mean the guy was well rounded. He just was. He was intelligent. He was fit, and he was intelligent in an academic way and in a practical way. He could apply it into the world, and because you can you can be a great poet. It doesn't mean you know how to game up someone. It doesn't mean you have charisma.
Mhm.
It just means that you can write well. And he knew how to do both. And that's incredible. It's something like that small. It's just incredible. Another person like that, I would say it's 50 Cent.
Oh,
Um, I'm very passionate about this. I don't know why, but I feel like 50 Cent does not get the credit
I don't think so
that,
either.
that he deserves. Um, People don't even know how big of an artist that he was and still is. Like, I think he has the third, not the third, definitely top five highest selling album of all time. Uh, and his international presence, you can argue, is bigger than it is stateside. Um, Only for him to take that and to leverage it to, you could argue again, be even better in business. I mean, listen, there's enough rappers. There's enough rappers to go around, especially the low quality ones. Um, there's a lot of businessmen, and he did both, and he's continuing to. It's not like the story is written and like it ended. He's still actively doing stuff.
So I actually know someone who worked for him at G Unit Records. She like finance for him,
Uh-huh.
and she's like he's the best person ever. But she's like he is so driven and focused. Right, that's like he walk in the room, he just knew who like everyone else knew when he walked in the room, he was the best person there. Like he was gonna like dominate in all aspects of business, rap, whatever it was,
Hmm.
he was gonna win.
Yeah, and it's impressive. Now, at night on Not Playing Town in Salem, I love to like just watch one of his interviews. You just I think he makes the interviewer job easy.
Oh yeah, he does. I think so
You just
too.
have to sit down, just ask a starting question, and just let him go. He starts freestyling. He's freestyling. He's in the interviews freestyling. I mean, that's what he's doing. He's letting his thoughts just flow.
So one thing I admire about him, that's probably not the best thing I admire about him, but I admire his level of pettiness, right? Like I aspire to be as petty as him. Like the time like Ja Rule had a concert, he bought out Ja Rule's concert so no one would be there, you know.
Yeah,
I think he's about to release a Netflix documentary on P. Diddy
yeah,
titled "Did He Do It?" You know, like you don't want him. That got to be your enemy, right?
yeah. Because yeah, he'll wear you down.
He's gonna go all in. Like
There's
he's still fucking beefing with Ja Rule after all these years.
there's Rick Ross.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you know what though? No one person he doesn't beef with, is Eminem.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. He's yeah. Nothing but high things about him.
yep, Eminem, and Dr. Dre.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never heard him say anything
no.
bad about
So you probably know this. Like a few years ago when Dr. Dre and his people did the halftime concert at the Super Bowl. Remember that?
it faintly.
Yeah.
I don't watch NFL.
Okay. So at the Super Bowl, there's this big time halftime performance. So it's Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg,
Oh
Eminem.
yes, yeah, I know where you're going.
And so Eminem told JC, I'm not doing this unless my guy's there. If 50 Cent's not there, I'm not there, right?
Yeah,
So so that's why, 50 Cent, like, like that's my guy, right? Because he goes back with him, right? And I
yeah,
think we all need someone on our corner like that, right? Someone who's gonna go back for you no matter what.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Eminem. By the way, real quick about that, I don't know if you so like the from what I understand, the person that that 50 Cent gets compared to is Jay Z, and you know they've had like back and forth um over the years. Part of it is just rap, you know, and the other part I think it's just being competitive,
Yeah.
seeing because I mean people don't I think fraudulently so don't look at 50 Cent in that same category as Jay Z, but you should. Um, if not higher in that ranking, if we are ranking. Now, I'm not saying we have to, but we're humans, so you just naturally do it. Who's number one type of thing. Um, I I think a longer conversation should be had about that. It's actually a third person too. I wasn't planning on going here, but I don't know why I'm passionate about this. It's Birdman
Well,
From Cash Money.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
As far as like his production level or like just a business aspect.
business, purely business
Okay.
aspect, because I don't know any of these people. I can't speak to how they are with their families, if they're Christian. I don't know. Purely business. Um, Cash Money is the highest selling sub label
Yeah.
under a
And the
major
talent they
label.
pushed out, like of course the original group, then Lil Wayne,
Yeah.
he don't realize Drake got started there.
Yep.
Nicki Minaj got started there.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's now I get if you I mean you Google Birdman or you watch an interview, he has a very thick accent. He has the tattoos, he presents himself as a blood, all of that. And I get it. Appearances matter. You're gonna turn certain people off just off that. I understand. I'm not sitting here saying that he should or should not, he's a man. I don't care how he presents himself. But purely from the business aspect, I mean, they have the number one hip hop label.
yeah,
It's bar none. It's not even debatable. Um, if Cash Money was a public company, it'd be in the Russell 2000. That's crazy.
yeah.
But because of how he talks and like the whole
Mhm.
package, it doesn't get mentioned. I think that's absurd.
Another person I don't think is credit is Master P, right?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course, all of them. I mean, all of them. I believe the story is Master P was the first one to get a distribution deal with a 85 15
yeah, that
15
sounds right. Yeah,
split. I forgot the label that they did it with, but yeah, I mean, these are real historical, entrepreneurs. That's why I care.
Yeah. And the
'Cause-
way, like you said, 50 Cent talks about Eminem, Snoop Dogg talks the same way about Master P.
mm,
Master P really took
yes,
care of him.
yeah,
He like really set him up and stuff. I don't know. Or in the story, like Snoop Dogg told a story where Master P had do a verse, how much money you want? And
yeah.
Snoop like, man, I have no money. Here's 5,000. And like Master P gave him like, dude, here's $150,000, you know.
Speaking of Master P, he was the first person to take 50 Cent on tour.
You know the story behind that, right?
Yeah, well, at least I think I do. But go ahead.
So where I remember hearing the story is like they're going on a tour before 50 Cent hit it big, and Master paid him his money, right? Hey, 50, I had some things come up. We're going to delay the tour for like 6 months. You already have your money, whatever.
Yeah,
Of course, then the shit blew up, and 50 Cent like, damn, you
yeah,
know,
yeah. That was a good bet
yeah,
on Master P on for
yep.
50 Cent. Yeah, but no, I love all these entrepreneurs. They you know they are the shining example of everything. Like my whole philosophy. I mean, they have done it and they are doing it, and it's impressive. I watched them take bits and pieces and find a way to enact it to everything that I'm trying to do.
So for you personally, either when you're dealing with a person or a company, what's some red flags for you?
Um, Man, red flags. What's funny about red flags? You, Jason, it would shock you the degree to which I just go and feel. Like I don't have a long list of things, in general, good or bad. I can just tell like when I see it or when I feel it. But if someone is if they're like 3 minutes late to a meeting, uh what I read that as is you're testing first of all, you're trying to make me wait on you. So like you're trying to see how much you can kind of control the dynamic. I see that's petty. Like you care more about playing like games like that than like actually doing the thing that we're there to meet about. And then if something really small, like if they just say they're going to do something but don't actually follow up on it. And I know we all make mistakes. I mean, I've done it, so I'm not overly critical about it, but if I feel like if it reads to me that it's a pattern that you just do, then I'm not working with you at all. Like
Yeah.
at all.
I'm gonna say where it's time, like, don't get me wrong, people be late all the time sometimes, but like if you're 20, 50 minutes late every meeting, to me, that's a signal that you're not, respecting my time. You think you're more important than me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely reads that way.
Once in a while, yeah, but every single time, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're not considerate of your time.
Mhm.
They think that 15 minutes for both of y'all are valued the
Yeah.
same. It's just not. It's
No.
like it's just not. I don't feel bad saying it. It's just not.
So you talked about some earlier, but talk about the role of empathy in what you do.
The role of what?
Empathy, being empathetic.
Oh, empathetic. Oh, I mean, I learned this. I still struggle with it. Let me start there. I still struggle with it. But I think it's one of those things that come to people as they get older. Because if you're, in my opinion, if you're young and saying that you're Mister or Mrs. Empathetic, you're kind of just talking because you don't have the life experience to really empathize with someone. You may be sympathizing with them, but how do you know? How do you know what they're going? You don't feel it the same. And what I found is as I got older, I started empathizing with people more because people they just trying their best. Like they just trying their best. And everyone's not you. They're not gonna look at things the same way that you do. They're not gonna go at the same pace, whether it's fast or slow as you. And I hate saying this because I feel soft even saying it, but you really do sometimes gotta meet people where they at. Um, and it's okay if y'all don't have a working relationship. Like I think that comes along with being empathetic. That you could be empathetic towards someone and understand that it's just not gonna be a good fit for y'all to work together. Um, because I used to be Mr. Just chase down every opportunity, and I just don't do it anymore. You can't just like what I was saying about my son. Like you can't make someone do something they don't want to do. I learned that the hard way, like the hardest way. You can't make someone do something they don't want to do. And I think it's all like related to empathizing. Um, I think if you're truly empathizing, it leads you to that result of like just trying. If it doesn't work, see where they're coming from, and it's be like, okay, it's cool. You know what? Let's just not do it. Because in business, like every little JV that you do or whatever, it's like a mini marriage. You gotta be in it for the long haul. And I'd rather just recognize it's not gonna work than get really involved and it kind of spin out later down the road and like you get emotionally involved. You start looking at the margins. There's a time investment into it, and I'd rather just cut it off.
So how do you know when it's time to cut it off?
Um,
I think most people wait too long to cut it off, right?
I do that a lot. But I take on fewer opportunities now. For that very reason, because it's hard for me. It's hard to go back on a commitment. So I really just vet it out for a long. Sometimes like something that I would do is just put up almost like blockades to draw out the process to put like basically put time in it so that to see if they're like serious about doing what they want to do. Because if not, then you just jump on a lot of things that because people just be talking. Like people just say,
Yeah.
they want to
Yeah.
do this, that, and there's no follow up.
No.
And so what I'll do is just, okay, well, send this to me in like a month or so, or something to that effect. And then if you don't hear from 'em, then it goes back to being empathetic.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm not mad at you. It's just what it is. Just what it is.
So you have a lot going on. Obviously, your time is valuable. How do you make sure like people don't waste your time?
I've gotten a lot better with it now. By the way, I hate saying I have a lot going on. Even though it's true, I can feel myself being that guy
Yeah.
now. But yeah, now I'll wait for things to kind of filter through the company. So I mean, there's things in track that I'm actively pursuing, reaching out, setting up meetings for. So there's that. But outside of that, because with that I have to entertain potential opportunities that have a low likelihood of playing out. Uh, 'Cause, uh, I need to kind of still figure things out as we go in that direction. But with our core company, it's I wait for things to filter through. I make it. I've made it incredibly hard to get in contact with me if you don't already have my number or my email. And because I've had. I mean, Jason, you'd be surprised. I mean, recently too, there have been people who have politic through the company uh, to set up a meeting with me only for them to try to work some kind of play or like there's like some kind of angle to it.
Mhm.
Um, so what I've done is made it even more difficult for things to even like get to me.
Mhm.
There's there's many layers in the company before it gets directly to me. So that way it'll just get filtered out. And that's been the best thing that has worked for me.
Okay. So hypothetical situation, and I'm not smart enough to answer this question.
Okay.
Let's suppose, you know, it was the arm Alexander the Great and his armies at their prime versus Genghis Khan and his armies at their prime. Who do you think is going to win?
Um,
And the battle could be anywhere you want it to be.
I was I mean it has to be Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah, because I mean, Alexander, I mean, he went in that direction, uh, and retreated. Um, Genghis Khan, from what I understand, I mean, he really was a savage.
Yeah, he was like, yeah,
I mean, he's top three, top three, if not like a automatic bid for one. Um, I don't, I don't think Alexander.
no,
No, that was, I mean, because it was at that point of let's call it the march, um, that I think he realized he was going too far. I mean, he had to go eastward,
mhm,
um, to set up Alexandria, actually. As we went through Egypt, it went that way. Actually, from what I understand, it wasn't that long after that where he actually died.
okay,
Because he went up, forgot forgot the name. Was it Mongolia?
I think so. Yeah,
Um, and then retreated and then went back east. Um, Yeah, and it was because after he went through Egypt, that's when he supposedly got poisoned.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So Alexander didn't want anything to do with
No.
it. Nah,
Okay.
nah.
Um, so how did this happen, right? Like I hear like what's a phrase or there's two brothers, the dad's alcoholic.
Oh
One
yeah,
one says I'm an alcoholic because my dad's alcoholic. Other one says I'm not because my dad was the one. Like
yeah,
you would think like boy being raised in the same house, both people turn the same, but so many people like turn out differently, right?
yeah, yeah.
Think that's just because like internally mechanisms people have or different signals they take from people.
Um, yes, to the latter. I mean, people just perceive things differently. Um, I
Think one's
mean,
like being defeated, so to speak. You know, I have no choice in my fate. It's already been predetermined.
yeah, and you know what? I think it speaks to people's temperament. Um, and that's also why, to bring it back earlier, I don't think you can really change people. Not to say that people cannot change. I just don't think you're the one to do it. That's for them and God to figure out. To that point though, I experienced that in my own household. Before my dad got clean because he was an alcoholic at the time. And actually I had this my dad sent me that quote. Um, because I'll have a drink once, maybe twice a year, but
Mm,
I just it's not my thing.
mm,
I don't never drunk beer. It just doesn't appeal to me.
mm.
So I mean, that quote hits even more home for me because I just it's just not my thing. It's just not my thing, and I think my dad appreciates that too. To be honest, not to even say that he'll be overly critical either way, but I think he has seen my reaction to it and looked at that entire evolution as a good thing, as a positive. Because I can tell you one thing, I'm gonna do a lot of things in my life, good and bad. I'm not gonna be alcohol
Yeah,
because it's just not.
yeah.
But yeah, people's temperament dictate how they respond to things differently. I mean, to bring it to a more poignant example, you can be in an econ class and you can walk away a capitalist or a socialist. Same thing.
Good point. Yeah,
It's the exact same thing. I mean, people have a certain temperament to succeed, and other people don't. They have a temperament to point the finger and blame the world. I think it's loser shit. I can't get with it. I just don't like conceding defeat in general. Um, and it's sad. It's sad, but it is what it is. I don't. Again, I don't try to change anybody.
actually, your discussion last time. I'm kind of paraphrasing. So, like from my point of view, 20% of the world is trying to do better things, trying to add value, trying to be the best they can. 80% is like doing crap right.
Hmm.
You still agree with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 100%. Um, it may be fewer percentage trying to do good. Yeah, maybe closer like 5%,
Yeah.
which is scary. But I don't think that's a stretch though. I mean, look at the employee to owner ratio.
Yeah.
It's probably actually it's less than 5%. It's not to say that if you don't own something, you're not doing good in the world, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And by the way, I don't even say that as a negative thing. I'm not saying that like we're screwed. Like let's run for the hills.
It's probably always been like that since the beginning of time, probably, right?
I would imagine so. Yeah. Yeah. And most people just want to get along, just go about their life.
Work the 9 to 5, go watch some TV, have a good dinner, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I just could never live like that. I just can't do it. That's a prison for me. You can't put a free spirited
Mhm.
person into a situation like that.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna work. Uh, I knew that about myself very early on.
Really.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah,
Can you talk some about your Christian faith? Because you're a big Christian person, right? Can
yeah,
you talk some about that, how that affects your day-to-day life and the business, personal, all that kind of stuff?
yeah. Everything. I mean, it's all consuming.
And were you always like I don't hate to use the word diehard, but you was like a diehard Christian since an early age, or that happened later on in your life?
It happened later on in my life. It actually happened. It's actually very very recent. I would say it was like 2018. Well, I looking back, I've always walked with God, but I've been more intentional about about trying to to make decisions that will put God in the best light possible, and to put myself, in my view, in the best light possible to God. Um, but to be honest with you, outside of taking time to like reflect and actually reading scripture, and like seeing how it has and can apply to my life, that's been the biggest um the biggest yielding thing that I have done, specifically to anything, dealing with my faith. It amazes me just how insightful the Bible really is. Um, it's I want to say weird, but it's there's nothing weird about it. It's the source text. I mean, that's we believe it starts there, So of course it shows up in any and everything. It's what any and everything is. Um, but it's incredible, man. For me, when I had like moments where like I felt God with me, it's been the most incredible moments in my life. And when I say moments, I mean I wasn't like on top of a hill like reading or anything like that. I mean, these were like quiet, very quiet, no music playing, no TV, just quiet moments like at home, like just reflecting, like just in deep reflection. And like reading scripture and being able to feel God with me. It's like those many moments like that where, at least for me, I would feel the presence of God like in that moment. And it's incredible. Like it's truly incredible. Um so now, I used to speed through the Bible. I used to try to treat it like other texts, It wasn't until I slowed down with it where it actually um started shining its way. Like it really started connecting with me. Uh, not to compare it to the Bible, but another book like that is Art of War.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I'm of the opinion now, like the best text that you've read before, you should read it as you get older because you pull different things from it. And that's something else that you have to read slow. You have to read very slowly. You should probably take the course of a year, at least for the Art of War, to read it in its full, in its entirety. Because there's things that'll go over your head, especially in younger years. Because there's no way that you can fully grasp it.
So the Bible, do you like believe it's actually the word of God, or do you believe like the God inspired like humans that write it, or the humans just wrote it off out of nowhere?
It depends on what books that we're talking about in the Bible. But for the most part, I do believe it's the word of God.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, there are parts that, well, that's an exact quote. Like
Mhm.
this is the word of God. Um, but I mean, if you read through different books, it is their like it is them telling the
Mhm.
story of what happened.
That's not people don't realize the Bible is actually a collection of stories, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't realize people think the Bible is just one big book. No, it's like collection of lots of stories.
Right. Right. Um, Incredible stories too. The first book in the Bible that I read when I wasn't intentional about actually reading the Bible, because that wasn't until around 2018 where I was like, you know what, I want to read the Bible, not just take excerpts, here and there.
Okay.
Was Matthew,
Okay.
and that's all it took. Like I read that and I was like, this is really interesting, like really really interesting. Right now I'm going back through Proverbs, just reading it by the page. My mother-in-law, well, let me say my in-laws, both mother and father-in-law, they gifted us Bibles
Mhm.
as a wedding gift,
Okay.
and so I read it together with my wife. It's awesome too.
So make this total up. Like suppose someone came to you and said, "Hey, Byron, I realize you believe in God, but can you prove to me God exists?" Would you be like, would you try to prove that God exists, or you be more like, it's not my it's not my place to prove to you God exists. That's between you and God.
Um, well, one, I have to see how serious they are. People just talking. I would, if they were serious, I would sit them down and, oh, okay, not like in the moment, but we'll sit down at some point and I'll go through verses with them, to see if it hit to them. Because I do believe, the number one thing a Christian should do is preach the gospel, at least attempt to. Now, I wouldn't try to make them because again, I don't believe in making people do anything. I wouldn't try to make them understand it for them to receive it, but I'll do my part. 100%. I would do my part. But I think that the biggest thing that you can do to show God's existence is just by telling your fellow person that you love them, and really that's just it. Because most people don't get told that they are loved. Like it's a very simple and probably weird thing when you think about it, but people don't. They don't hear it.
Yeah.
Definitely not on a daily basis.
So what makes someone a good Christian, so to speak, quote unquote, good Christian?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you. I mean, just because you read the Bible doesn't make you a good Christian.
Yeah. Or go to church, that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
definitely not. Definitely not. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's something that's in your heart, and unless you're in the court of law, I don't think you can speak to what's in someone's heart.
Yeah. No.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. I don't know what makes someone a good Christian.
Yeah.
I only have ideas on what I'm trying to do to be a better one, but I don't know.
Okay. And like, I'm not expecting you to answer this question, but like, if there's one true God, like, how can there be like Christians, Muslims, Hindus? Like, why did God let all these religions come out, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
And well, you know, if you're like born, you know, in East Texas, you're probably a Christian. If you're born in like some small village in India, probably Hindu, right? So like,
Yeah,
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 that's something I always like struggle with, right? You know, like, how can this be? You know?
yeah. It definitely takes on uh geographical
Hmm.
like roots,
Yeah.
depending on what part of the world that you're in. The likelihood, if you're religious, to
Hmm.
believe a certain religion over
Yeah.
another. Um, I don't know. I mean, I've heard the theories that um religions were essentially drug induced.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that before too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
take on different kind of perceptions,
Yeah.
and then passed down through word of mouth,
Yeah.
depending on you take different directions that way. I've heard that. I see how people got there.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know to answer your question,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. And even for like the few ideas I have, I'm not going to say because I
Yeah.
don't want to start a religious.
Yeah.
It's I just don't want that.
Yeah. No, I
I
got
love
you.
my brothers and
Mhm.
sisters across different religions
Yeah.
though. I mean, some of my best friends are Muslim
It's just crazy
and Jewish.
how many wars and people died over religion, right? The crusade, all that stuff in
It's
the
an
back, you know, like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's it's sad. It's sad. Uh, yeah, it's sad, especially now. One of my mentors is planning on going to Israel.
Mhm.
I think pretty soon, actually, like the next 60 days. And I get it.
But maybe not right now.
For me, no.
There's too much stuff going on there right now.
It's I mean, bro, it's literally a hot war.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
They're fighting like a three-front war.
yeah,
The Hamas on the south, Hezbollah on the north, and the Houthis from Yemen.
yeah. As a serviceman, what do you think of that?
It's a complicated situation, of course. You know, the fear is like you don't want a right of war, but the right of war is already there, right? I mean, you got Iran openly firing missiles on Israel.
Yeah,
We're openly knocking the missiles out. You know, so you kind of think we're kind of already in a proxy war with Iran already, right? You know,
yeah,
it's yeah, and it's always been like that, right?
yeah.
Even back in the army, there's
Right,
always
right.
stuff going on there, like the PLO, all this. You know, it's just yeah.
If would you be comfortable being deployed over there right now?
I mean, I would be, yeah. I mean, I would be, yeah.
Mm,
Just because I've done it before, I have the background and stuff. You know, would I want to go? Obviously not, right? But yeah, it's just a tinderbox over there, right? It's always had been like I remember back in '83, um, they blew up the U.S. Marine Hotel in Beirut. You know,
mm,
it's always been stuff like that over there, right? And it's always been like Israel fight all these wars, like the 1967, 6 Day wars, all this kind of stuff. And then one thing that gets me too, off same top of kind of same like you have all these people in the United States protesting, right? And of course, you can't believe it watch the news, but you never hear anything on like people in like um, Jordan or Syria or Middle Eastern countries like protesting free Palestine, right? You never hear that, right?
yeah,
All the rich people in, like Saudi Arabia, they never, hey, here's $100 billion, come move here, right?
yeah,
But you know, it's just a complicated situation. It's
yeah,
like they're still in the eye to eye, eye for the eye thing over there, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
one thing I get to like back in October 7th, when the Hamas like flew over when their glider jets, all that concert that killed all these people, right? Like everyone forgot about that, right? It's all this free Palestine stuff.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
Not not everyone. It's complicated though.
And then like, so Israel does one thing, Iran does something back. Everyone ups the ante, right? No one's gonna say, like, the prime minister for Israel, Netanyahu, I think his name, like, how would he look? Like, we go back to October 7th, right? That happened. The smart thing would have been to not do anything, right? That stuff happened, like, but they attacked pretty much immediately, right? The smart thing would, like, kind of not attack immediately, like, do some stuff, right?
Mhm.
Of course, they attack immediately, and then someone else attacks immediately, right? It's just like the escalating version of war, and what's it end, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, people realize this, like, so when Iran fires missiles out of Israel, it has to go over Jordan. Last two times Jordan's knocked down half of them, right? Would you think back in the day, the Arab country would never do that to another Arab country? But now Jordan is closer to Israel than they are to Iran, right? But people see Iran as like the menace. And there's like, like the Iran versus Saudi Arabia proxy war in Yemen, it's
Mm.
like everyone's fighting everybody, right? It's just, yeah. But I definitely would not go, I would not go visit there anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm with you. When he told me that, I was like, God bless. Uh, and I hope you make it back.
Yeah, it's just too much going on over there. I mean, you might have a missile strike any day. You might be Tel Aviv having a pina colada on the beach, and then boom, boom, boom. And just like the October 7th, them Israel people, or like some kind of what EDM concert, having a good time. Always you look up, you see like these people with like machine guns, right?
I've seen that. I've seen a video of that, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah. Yeah.
it's I don't know. I don't think that would be fixed right. I mean, here's one for you. So after World War II, all the bad things happened to Jewish people, right? This is my opinion, right? So the British said, "Hey, we're going to put you back in like the Holy Land, right? Displace the Palestinians." I think what they should have done was, okay, Germany does all horrible shit to you. As a way to make it right, we're going to give you Bavaria. I think they should have given the Jewish people Bavaria in Germany, a way for Germany to pay back all the horrors they did to them, instead of like moving them all to the Holy Land.
Hmm.
I mean, probably wouldn't have worked at all,
I, I I get to thinking of that.
but then you displace the Bavarian people, and
Yeah. You have the same problem.
yeah.
You have the same
But at
problem.
least in Germany, you can say, "Hey, Germany people, you did horrible things. This is how you make up for it." We're in or what if Israel policy we want to call their land? There, you just displace a whole people, even though in theory Israel's there first, But I watched this one show where this Palestine like that says Israel guy, where's your dad buried at? He's like Germany, grandfather, Germany. You know, my last 8 generations have been buried in this town. So how is this your land and not mine?
Mm. I'm Man. You think that would give them rights to the land?
I mean, the Palestine guy, it was yes, because my people have been here 8 generations. How many generations we're all buried here? You're trying to come back after being gone, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah, and like all the charters, all these terrorist organizations, Hamas, Hezbollah, is all in the charters like to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, right? It's like written in there, right?
Yeah.
And so how can you like Israel, leader Israel, how can you like
How can you reconcile with that?
yeah, like how you can do a deal with someone
Yeah.
who in the charter says to destroy you, right? Because
It's like Iran for us.
yeah, if you
Like,
do a deal with them, they're going to go back on it. You know,
yeah.
I don't know.
Do they feel the same way about Israel?
I think so. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah,
Mm.
and Israel around big. I mean, I remember like a long time ago, Israel did a stealth bomb strike and like destroyed their nuclear facility they were building. Like they've always been go back and forth. Not only recently has Iran been actually attacking Israel, they've always been like through proxies, right? Through Hamas, Hezbollah, giving them funds and stuff. But I don't know.
That's tough. You just gotta pray for everyone.
Yeah.
You gotta pray for everyone. It makes you more. At least for me, it makes me more appreciative.
Oh yeah.
It makes the capitalism and socialism arguments futile.
Yeah. It does. And plus, like being in the United States, we're relatively safe. Of course, 911 happened, that's like whatever it was. But relatively, you realize odds are you're going to wake up in the morning, city itself is not going to be destroyed by, a missile attack, right? For the
Yeah.
most part, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you feel worried, like in Israel, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's funny. People don't really think like how good we got it
Mhm.
because north of us is Canada, and south of us is
Yeah.
Mexico, and we're not. There aren't tense relations there.
No,
There isn't the worry of, like you said, is waking up, have
no.
missiles just fly
There's
over
not
your
going to be a
city.
10,000 division of Canadian people on the border tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, and more importantly, how would you act if that was the case? Like, the policy you support then look like?
Yeah.
People don't consider
I'm going to bet if there was like extra like armies on our borders or wanted to invade us, I bet everyone would be pro gun then.
that for sure.
Everyone would be pro gun then.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that who's Russia at war with Ukraine when
Zelensky.
yeah when the war had first started. I believe one of the first things that happened was that he legalized their ability to own
Yeah.
firearms. It was it wasn't funny, but it was like it was just interesting.
One thing was funny, where that happened, you had a bunch of liberals saying, "Hey, let's send our guns to Ukraine. They need them." Like, what? How does that make sense? You're anti-gun, but now you want to send guns over there?
Yeah, yeah, that's it's it's very hypocritical. It's very hypocritical. What I found though with either side, like it for me, it doesn't even make sense a lot of times to even like point out flaws in an
No,
argument
it
because
doesn't. It doesn't.
at this point it's a cult. I
They're
mean,
so like ingrained in their belief.
yeah, it's their religion.
Nothing you do is going to change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's
So
people, who think Trump is the worst thing ever. You're not going to change their mind.
yeah,
Other people who think, Vice President Kamala Harris is the worst person either. Like, like I don't believe Kamala Harris is a communist. I don't believe that. It's
hmm
like I don't believe Trump's gonna destroy the country. But some people believe
well,
that.
he didn't.
Yeah,
He's already in office.
yeah. And thinking like, yeah, people like he's gonna come destroy the whole country. He become a dictator, but he left the last time.
Yeah,
How can they stay last time? But
yeah.
everyone has their beliefs. What do you want to call it?
It's their religion.
Yeah,
It's yeah, it's their religion, and there's no like reasoning with it. And for some reason, people don't, and I have no issue doing this, like just saying like, "Hey, I'm not qualified. Like,
mhm,
I don't know."
yeah,
It's okay not to know. It doesn't make you weak
mhm,
or make you look soft. Just not know something. I think that comes from school culture though, where you were cool or like elevated, like your status was elevated
yeah,
by knowing more stuff.
yeah,
And the issue I think a lot of people are having when they leave school, they don't you know the real world doesn't operate on that kind of
no,
time. Don't give a fuck about what you know.
no, they
It's,
don't.
it's, it's who you know and what can you do. And a lot of people when they graduate have a hard time coming to terms with that. Like, well, my degree is this. All right, you know, you need to learn how to politic now. You need to learn how to grease the wheels and how to appeal to people. And you just don't learn that in school. Like you don't learn that at all. Actually,
No.
like it leaves you inept, like in that regard.
Yeah, I definitely think schools are going to change big time next 10, 20 years. First of all, like, is education even worth it now with all YouTube University, all these free courses to learn, ChatGPT, all this kind of stuff, right? I
Yeah,
just,
yeah. I saw the Twitter post, X post that kind of went viral when a teacher was saying like her job now with her papers. It's a college professor too. Was saying her job now with her papers is just to check for plagiarism
mm,
and is no longer like to really uh judge or grade the depth
mm,
or the understanding of the topic. Um I don't feel sorry for that though. You created a system where you're you're incentivizing people to do whatever it is to get a good grade. Uh and also your papers are distributed in a fashion in which, I mean, the topic that you want them to write to can just be bullshit. I mean, if you just have to say, because I had this issue when I was in school. I would get a paper like in a government or history class, and I would give my honest opinion on it. But because it wasn't in lockstep with what the bulk of what the class agreed with or saw to be politically correct, I would get penalized for it. And I remember being in office hours and talking to the professor and saying, "Hey, look, if you just want me to say things to agree with you, then just say it. Like, why are we even playing this game? Why even do it?" So I don't feel sorry for if you are doing something that can just be replicated with because Chat GPT doesn't have depth. You can tell when something's written by Chat GPT. It doesn't say much. Like you don't walk away with a feeling that it just has the surface level, like it has like glossy words. It has nice prose, but like
Yeah, throw some fluffy words in there and stuff, you know.
yeah. But so they shouldn't be giving them prompts, giving the students like topics to write on that can just be bullshit like that. But then you have to really start taking a look at like everything. And I don't think we're there yet. Right now, we're in the complaining phase where, and not at the point. They'll rather like find ways to check for plagiarism than change the way that they're asking their questions,
Yeah,
which tells you everything you need to know.
yeah. So, do you have any vices that you want to get rid of?
uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, we all do. Uh, I have a very addictive personality, like just in general. I don't, um, I don't just like things. Like I love it until like I can't stand it anymore. Which is good and bad. I think the good parts are obvious, but like bad is really bad. Like I love to eat cookie dough.
Mhm.
I love cookie dough. I love the sugar,
Uh-huh.
the Pillsbury sugar cookie dough.
Okay.
I eat a whole I can eat a whole
Yeah.
packet once that I just knock it out. But I've always had a sweet tooth though. I've always like my cheat days when I was competing still. I just go hard. I would go hard like I was catching up on 2 weeks worth of like sugar. Um, yeah, dietarily, that's my number one
Okay.
vice though, is sugar. Definitely sugar.
So for a company, like, of course, you want to be the biggest company ever, but like, you have like goals on like, like grow by 20% this year, 25% next year, or expand to different markets.
Yeah, over the next 3 years, I want to keep growing by 100%. Um, yeah, for the next 3 years. Um, I'm no longer I'm comfortable with at least off head count not being the biggest company in the world. I'm comfortable with that. I don't mind off head count being more middle market, um, and just having a good market share because there's ways that we can leverage that outside of just riding the finance. We could be receiving the finance.
Is there such thing as can growth be a bad thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of startups, as we both know, that focus on driving revenue at all costs and just widen their
Mhm.
losses. Then they're out of business, unless they can just keep raising money, which is most of startup culture is like just raising money
Yeah.
to raise more money to raise more money down the road. And each step of the way, they're losing more money. They're just evaporating their shareholder equity. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there's a natural. If you raise too much money out the gate, that's what happens a
Yeah.
lot of times. I'm not gonna say all the times, but a lot of the times. Um, there's a nuance. It's the same way why like the athlete with the multi-million dollar contract go broke. If you don't learn the process of how to make money over like a good time
Mhm.
period, then you don't know how to keep it. And the same thing that affects the athlete affects the startup,
Uh-huh.
the founder. They raised over $10 million, but they didn't earn $10 million.
Yeah.
They put together a presentation. They were charismatic, and now they got a check, and they don't know what to do with it.
And they go from grinding in the garage to like, we can afford, a $10,000 a month,
Yeah,
penthouse for office,
yeah. And then free lattes for everyone. Like, these things
they
these
add
things
up.
add up.
Oh yeah.
They really do add up. And if you didn't really bootstrap it with no outside money, then you just don't know what that feels like. You don't know the pace of how
Mhm.
companies should really be growing. It's not natural to raise a lot of money without like a real concept or a
Yeah.
real business.
A
It's hard.
financial plan, like all that kind of stuff, like
Yeah,
traction, your business model, all the
yeah.
real quote unquote business stuff, so to speak.
Even in that scenario, they think they can just offshoot it by like bringing on the same amount of money they
Mhm.
raised by just bringing on a CFO,
Mhm.
but they don't know how to check how to check. They don't know how to manage a
Yeah.
CFO. So I mean, all the CFO did was come in and just siphon more money out
Yeah.
in a legal
And
way.
do a fancier spreadsheet or
Yeah,
get some kind of pattern analysis or something or
yeah. So it's like you're getting hit. You're just making life more difficult for you because you weren't willing to do the hard part, which is to grow a business.
so you might not be able to answer this question, but can you talk about how you do due diligence on companies that apply to get funding from y'all?
Yeah. You're right. I can't answer it full detail,
Okay.
but it just follows a usual KYC process.
Okay.
And like just a few conversations, and they have to verify it with documents
Okay.
essentially.
Bank statements or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's just it's not hard.
Okay.
It's I know we've seen frauds. Don't get me wrong, quite a few.
Yeah.
But it's because of the process that we use that it'll normally come out. I mean, you can't fake the funk, but for so long,
Yeah.
like it's sooner or later something's going to come out.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, it's the usual process though.
Okay. Um, are you still involved with that startup? Like, what you on like a board of a startup or something? Are you still involved with them? They
Yes,
did some rocket stuff or
in a
something.
very limited capacity,
Okay.
a very limited
Okay.
capacity. They're doing well though.
Okay.
They're doing well. You met um, I don't say his name, but you met someone else that was on the board.
Okay.
You may not remember it.
Okay.
It was over a year ago, definitely over a year
Okay.
here in
Okay.
Seattle too.
Okay.
But yeah, in limited capacity.
Is this gonna show my ignorance? Is there a difference between someone's personal credit and their like business credit?
Yeah, yeah,
Do they affect each other any kind of way? Or is like one's like or totally separate?
they're different. The only way that I can think of right now that your personal credit can affect your business
Mm.
credit is that your personal credit can affect the first credit line you get
Okay.
that would then go off your business
Mm.
credit. But they are different though.
Okay.
They are different. Um, I think for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Um, our in our line of work, like personal credit
Mm.
doesn't. It has come up just to check, but like it's not. It's not the reason why something is or not going to be um, executed on
Okay.
for us at least.
Does this play a role when you decide to do business with someone? Like, does there like how to put this? Like, you're about to close a deal with someone, and then something bad happens. Like something comes out in the news, like this person is a horrible person, right? Does that change your mind, or like is it like
If it was very dire,
okay,
then yeah.
okay,
Because there's stuff that happens
mhm,
still to this day. Um, we're big boys. I mean, it's so long as it's not too
okay,
off the rails.
yeah,
Um, then we'll look past it. It's not personal.
yeah.
I don't take a lot of things personally.
Is there an industry that you have not done a deal with yet that you want to do a deal with in this like any type of industry that you haven't dealt with yet?
Yeah. It's medicine.
Medicine, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely interested in it. Not the startup, so
okay,
not the startup. Um, they're like they're like I don't want to say lottery, but they're they're like the music business. They're in the business of making hits. So you're either gonna do really
mhm,
well or you're gonna flop. And it's really that black and white. It's it's either all or
yeah,
nothing in that industry. And we're seeing more money flood into the space.
okay,
It's one of the biggest industries.
yeah.
Um, it's top five.
Is there a state like you find it's easier to do business versus and some states are harder to do business in based on either economic climate, politics, or
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll start with one that we don't. That's California.
okay.
It's they have like a law for everything. Everything is regulated.
Like personally, I don't see how anyone hires someone from California. It's just so prohibitive. I did it
Yeah,
one time. It's like, man, it's yeah, I'll never do it again.
yeah. There's I agree. There's that, and from, I mean, from what I've seen, it's harder to hire people there because they have a different like ethos.
Yeah, they do.
A lot like out here too, actually. Um, they just don't. I don't want to like to say they don't want to work, like or to say they don't work hard, but we haven't seen that pattern
Mhm.
out of California.
Yeah,
It's just not really, and not and to be honest, to be frank, I'm not willing to do the work to find out.
yeah.
It's
I'm the
just
same way. I did it one time. I'll never do it again.
yeah, I'm cool with accepting that sample size and just making a decision not to put more resources there. On the flip side, though, most of our company, the people in our company are in Texas
Yeah.
and Florida, and it just worked out that way naturally. And we have some up north and in New York, but majority, and by majority, I say 60% is Texas and Florida.
Is there a deal that be too big for you? Like, suppose came to us, hey, we want you to do this $500 billion deal. Is that
Yeah,
deal out there that's too big for you?
that'd be too big. That'd be too
So
big.
what's your limit?
About a billion.
Being okay.
Yeah. Uh, even then, it's still difficult, but it can be done.
Okay.
500 billion. Nah, you would need
Okay.
a bigger company for that. Yeah, yeah. Because I don't think people realize how big
Yeah.
500 billion is.
Yeah.
It's
That's a
half
lot.
of a trillion. I mean, that's crazy. It's yeah, yeah.
Um, so so you think about moving to Austin, Texas, right?
Yeah,
Why that specific city versus Dallas, San Antonio, Houston?
yeah. Well, I gotta be around the energy of the football team.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so there's that. There's the Texas thing. I understand the area. Um, there's okay, so there's it really comes down a lot of parts to a coin flip because for everything I say, you can make the same case for Dallas. I'm not well, Houston's off the table.
Yeah.
Just not going
Okay.
to. Yeah, just Houston's is not happening. Texas specifically, it comes down to being within closer proximity to one to the track team
Mhm.
at UT and being closer to kind of where things are happening, specifically to track outside of UT, but professionally, because we're going to start investing into sport in a big way. And, because of Texas relays and a few other meets in the area for track, all things in Texas pass through Austin. So it just makes more sense to be closer to that.
Okay.
And then we have relationships too that for that we're gonna leverage to bring into the sport. And I'm really excited about it. I'm happy to be back in the warm weather year round.
Yeah. So I think maybe a year ago, Jay Z got some bad publicity because supposedly, like one of his relatives, like a cousin, hey Jay Z, can you loan me $100,000 for a business? And Jay Z's like, no, I'm not giving you shit, right? Have
Mhm.
you had to deal with that in your own like family where people are like, hey Byron, are you doing great? Give me like loan me $20,000 for a business.
Yeah.
Had to deal with that kind of stuff. And how do you deal with that?
Um, I say no.
Okay.
I I don't. It's not a thing for me. It's not like a big. I just say no.
Okay.
And if this didn't happen, but if it comes back like, oh come on, man, you got it, or you think you're better, or I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Those things don't affect me.
Okay.
I just don't care.
Okay.
I just don't care. I don't know the Jay Z story, but I think I can understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get on, everyone suddenly know you or a family member,
Yeah.
and I mean that's a real thing. People come out of the woodwork, and yeah, I've experienced it already. Not
Yeah. I
not
can
just
imagine.
not specifically like just with
Yeah.
with family, but
Mhm.
just with people in general.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was lucky to have the experience and learn how to deal with that.
Mhm.
Um, People just switch up overnight, you know, pretending that y'all have a relationship that you really don't,
Yeah.
or to manipulate a past relationship to make it seem like,
Remember back the day we like drunk cokes in the corner or some,
yeah.
like we did this and that, and
What's interesting about that is say that as if that's you drinking coke together in the corner led to
yeah.
XYZ
Yeah.
happening. Like
There's
these
a
three
direct
things,
correlation.
yeah, like they actually have anything to do with one
Yeah.
another. And it's interesting, people when they see you as a high utility person, how they act around you. Because if they know you got it, then suddenly they think they deserve, and they'll come up with any reason to justify that. Uh, and then if you don't do it, saying that you changed, not realizing that they're the ones that changed around you. you're actually more or less the same person.
Yeah, they're the ones who change. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Um,
the ones who change. I believe that big time.
yeah, it really teaches you a lot about people. Teaches you so much about people. Um, yeah. But at this point, I kind of expect it, so I don't even get blown away by it.
Yeah,
It's just, oh, this has happened again. Let me just let me just go back to how I know how to handle this and just move on. I don't lose sleep over
yeah.
it. I really don't.
So like your time's limited. You recently left the museum of glass. Are there any causes out there right now that you're like really passionate about, or actually like putting your time and money in to help out?
Yeah. Are we expanding it to business or is
Yeah,
it?
however you want to answer it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so of course there's the investment bank. But right now it's track and field.
Mm.
It's definitely track and field. I think there's an opportunity. I mean, there are new leagues coming up, and there are existing leagues that are trying to expand now because there's growing competition, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to help the athletes monetize their brands in their careers, and you know, with our background with the investment bank, uh, we can leverage that to help the athletes do that. Um, so that's what I'm looking towards doing now, for sure.
And so you mainly be focused on college athletes. Any plans
Um,
like maybe go down to high school, even junior high level?
Perhaps I want to create opportunities for them to compete in front of a lot of people
Okay.
so that they can expose themselves uh, and get rid of any kind of roadblocks for that high school athlete to get access to good competition that's outside just their state meet.
So remember like back in the day when Snoop Dogg had a Snoop Dogg football league, like this Pop Warner team league he
Yeah,
had.
I do
Do,
remember
do
that.
you see you doing yourself doing something like that?
Nah,
Okay.
nah, no, no. So what I'm thinking right now, the core product would serve for professional purposes,
Okay.
with the opportunity of that specifically being open up to the higher end collegiates and perhaps maybe some high schoolers that are really standouts.
Okay.
Um, but nah, I don't. I do some like pro bono
Mhm.
like coaching
Yeah.
for some high school track
Okay.
athletes already.
Okay.
It's fun. I
Mhm.
enjoy it. But I have the flexibility. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not a full time commitment.
Mhm.
It's not even a part time commitment. I just if I'm free that day, then I'll come out. That
Okay.
it's that type of thing. Um, but Jason, it would blow you away how wide open the market and opportunity it is right now for
Mhm.
track and field athletes. It, it's not like football or basketball.
Here's one for you. Um, so that I can't remember his name. The 16-year-old kid who ran the 400 meters in the Olympics that made the Olympic team.
Yeah, Quincy.
Like he's in high school now. What would you? How would you mentor him? Like
I
what's
wouldn't.
no?
I wouldn't because I didn't run that fast at 16.
Okay.
I mean, I ran fast, but not
But as
that
far as like
fast.
the business part, right? Like how do you like mentor him? Like, hey, this is your business side. You need to do this, do that.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't even attempt to because
Okay.
there's so many people probably trying to do that right
Yeah.
now. And most of the things he's probably not gonna listen to. He's
Mhm.
probably just gonna have to learn it on his own. Um, and there's no reason to say what to assume that he doesn't know more than the average 16-year
Mhm.
old or that he has people in his corner that
Yeah.
know what they're doing. Because I just don't want to be the older guy that's like just like on a mic, just
Mhm.
just lodging opinions his way.
Okay.
Um, I think we should just wait and see because time will tell you everything.
But how insane was that he made the team? That's like pretty rare, right?
Yeah, absolutely rare. It's never been done, to my knowledge. Um, no, he's a once in a lifetime talent. It's I can't stress to you how irregular like that is.
Yeah. He's racing like people in their 20s, almost 30 years old, right?
Yeah, yeah. I ran with Vernon. Vernon, I think he's 31
Mhm.
because he went to LSU, and it was. I'm not gonna say funny. It was great seeing them both on the same relay
Mhm.
team. Um, Funny enough, though, not to take away from the kid, I think it's more impressive that Vernon is running that fast
Yeah.
at 31.
Yeah.
Because Vernon's one of the greatest 400-meter runners ever.
Mhm.
He's definitely one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent. Um, the guy knows how to run 44 seconds. I mean, he's like an automatic 44 whenever he steps on the
Mhm.
track. On his worst days, 45 flat. That's impressive to do, especially over 30 years old. It's it's impressive.
So track athletes they'll have like track seasons, right?
Yeah.
It was like, is a track season like during springtime, summer season? Like, how's that work? And then how many like track meets are you supposed to run?
Yeah. At what level are we talking?
Like the highest level, like
Um,
Gabby Thomas, those kind of people.
so they're um at the highest end, you're probably not going to run indoor, and if you do, it's going to be like one-off races,
Okay.
assuming you don't try to run indoor championships. You're going to start in March. You're going to build slow into USA's. That's and by build slow, I mean you're probably going to touch Texas relays,
Mhm.
um, probably meet in Claremont, perhaps Saint Mount Sac in California. Um, you're gonna do like races like that, and then you're probably gonna do like one serious race in a Diamond League. So probably go overseas, um, and then you're gonna run USA's
Okay.
because the goal is to make the team. That's your top priority um, as a professional athlete is to make your team. There's 3 spots per event. Um, it's outside of relays, say top six. But as a track and field athlete, if you don't make your team,
Okay.
you're not gonna get a shoe deal. You can still make money at meets, make it up, but it's harder to get into meets at that point too.
Is there like a senior circuit for track athletes? Like you're
Like a
track it?
masters
Yeah.
circuit,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, there are open like master meets,
Okay.
but like, is there like a diamond league for seniors? Not to
Yeah.
my knowledge.
Okay.
There's not a market. No one's gonna come watch it.
Okay.
People gonna watch the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do athletes they get paid by the number of races they win or
It's different. It depends on their contract.
okay.
A lot of contracts you do have a race minimum, number of races you have to race in. Um, and then depending on again your contract, you can get time bonuses. So you run a certain time, they bonus you out, roll over into your base. And then also for making teams and for medaling, like all of that. These are like sales contracts where you get bonuses
Okay.
for like incremental things that can roll over into your base. Um, so then you go into the next year with a higher base amount that you start with the year prior.
So I'm sure like athletes like Gary Thomas and that lady who like breaks all the 400-meter hurdle records, I'm sure they're one status. What is life like for like we'll say quote unquote average track athlete, right?
As far as their pay,
Yeah, paid,
you, you know,
lifestyle,
it,
that kind
it
of
would
stuff.
it would shock you how opaque the market is for that that tier
Mm.
athlete. Because I was like in between, um, and it depends. Because if you assuming because it depends on your event, and it also depends on the budget of the shoe company for that year. They allocate a certain amount of money for each event. Uh, I do know that uh, the contracts are in 4-year cycles, so they'll give you 3 years and a 1 year optional year. Um, that's pretty that's pretty standard, but, like, there's examples of that not being the case. Um, but for that tier, this is why I'm coming back into the sport on the business side, by the way. It's to cater to that tier that we're talking about that's not quite, you know, tier 1. They're not quite, like, tier 3. They're, like, somewhere at 2. Like, they're fast, they're definitely world class. They're gonna have a harder time getting into meets than the tier 1 athletes, but they can still place at meets. They can make a team. Um, they may not be an automatic lock to do it, but they can do it. And what we're trying to do is create opportunities for that tier to earn a good living. Because right now, it's hard because everyone is we're in the era of the super track and the super spike, so everyone's running faster and there's better coaching across the board. Um, so if you're a 10 flat runner, or even say even 999, you probably you probably still won't get especially if you're American, you're not getting a contract. Um, whereas 20 years before, you had a deal right out of college. Like you had a good deal too. But that's just not the case anymore. So now we're trying to create opportunities by way of meets for that class of athlete to have a consistent schedule. Don't have to travel too far and can make money, make a good living, not just money, but just make a good living uh, every year.
Do you see yourself ever like starting your own like track league?
Um, Perhaps or financing it. Yeah, I mean either or.
Okay.
It's the opportunity to do it is there. I can tell you that right now.
So I remember seeing somewhere like I'm trying to mix up where like it said if you're a high school football player, you have like a 5% chance to go to college to play football on college full scholarship, and then from there, I'm making. I think let's say there's $10 million, 10 million high school football players, or like 2,500 go to college to play
Mhm.
football, or like 300 go like play NFL. The numbers pretty much like kind of same in track, going from like high school track to college track to
I
like
think
pros.
I think proportionally it's the same. It's
Okay,
probably fewer because I think there's fewer. I think I don't know.
but the numbers are kind
It
of the
actually
same.
may not. No, I think it may actually be more track athletes because it's men and women. Yeah, because it's men and women.
Yeah.
But proportionally, I think it's more or less the same.
Okay.
It's a statistical incredibly unlikelihood for
I
you
mean, a lot of
to
things have to line up correctly for you, right? You got some luck. You got to have good coaches. There's a lot of things to line up right.
yeah yeah. I mean,
Of course,
absolutely.
you got to have
I
natural
was thinking
talent.
about the luck part, but
Yeah.
yeah, you do need things to go in your favor
Yeah.
for sure. You need to have
Obviously,
talent.
you got to be naturally fast. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then you have to go to the right school, be with the right coach, have the right environment, not get hurt. Uh, yeah, you need a lot of things to go right. It's it's kind of crazy when you think about it too.
Mhm.
It's so unlikely. It's yeah. You don't think about it too when you're one of those people
Mhm.
because you're just comparing yourself. You don't look at it as like millions of people.
Yeah.
You're looking at it like there's 15 people I
Yeah.
should be thinking about. Um, but it's best. I think it's best you look at it that way
Mhm.
because if not, you're just gonna get intimidated by the sheer volume of people that can take you out. Which is why it's ever uh so impressive to medal or
Mhm.
even be at the
Yeah.
Olympics 'cause it's it's like the most difficult thing to do in all sports.
Yeah. Like you're so driven. This was one event every 4 years, right? It's kind of insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's a level of competition people cannot really um they can't empathize with it. Like they just can't. They don't know what that's like to to do that sheer amount of work and then for it to come down to a matter of inches.
Mhm.
It's the precision and consistency over years. It's it's insane.
Yeah. I can imagine. Have you been to? I mean, have you been to any Olympics since 2016 as a spectator?
No, I will be at the next one, LA though.
Okay,
I definitely be in it.
that one, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm guaranteed. I'm being LA. And I'm looking forward to it. That should be fun. That should be. It'd be really good for the sport too.
yeah. The last one there was I think 1984. Last Olympics they had there, I think.
In LA.
Yeah, I think it was 84.
Okay. I yeah, well, obviously I wasn't around
Yeah.
for it, but nah, LA, 2028.
Mhm.
It should be fireworks there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think you're going to spectate? Do you think you might go there some kind of a um as part of the UT track team some kind of way?
Oh no, no, I'm not. No, it would be as a spectator.
Spectate, okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, I don't want to be that guy.
okay.
Like I was looking at the end of that Miami game, um, the football game,
Oh yeah, man, that was fucking crazy.
and yeah, it was crazy. And I was Michael Irvin was
Yeah,
on the side.
yeah.
I don't want to be that.
Okay,
Like I don't want to be
okay.
that at all.
You don't be that guy.
Nah, who doesn't respect Michael Irvin, but like,
Yeah,
you know, I
yeah.
just
Mike Evers is different. Than that guy. He's the you through and through.
don't get me wrong. I love Texas hat right. I love my Longhorns
Mhm.
more than anything,
Yeah,
but I don't want to be at one of their events
mhm.
and like doing theatrics to take
Yeah,
away from the focus
yeah,
of the field of play. I just that's just not me. That's not me. I think it's kind of corny.
yeah. That's true. So anything else that I asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, no, this was great. I do want to reemphasize though. The so the track stuff, that's my next hurrah.
Mhm.
Like that's the next thing. Step one was build out an investment bank and grow it. We're still doing it. It's not like that's like a side project. It's still the main
Mhm.
thing. But the next hurrah is to build out a track and field investment company, providing financing and creating new uh, opportunities, whether it's the way of expanding on existing meets or helping create a new league. Like
Mhm.
that's I am wholly invested into it. It's exciting. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, I'm uprooting my entire family
Yeah.
to be closer to that to where everything's happening at to carry that on. And most importantly, more than anything, it's going to be very fulfilling for my son to come up and to see that his dad, just the story,
Mhm.
just the just the story of it all. It's I think it's a historic run, to be honest, that I'm currently on, and I want to keep building on it because it'd be easy just to coast off just with the investment bank and like just to to ride off that because it's a whole thing in and of itself, and that's after the professional
Uh,
career. But I want to keep building on it and then build on it in a way that's actually fruitful. The investment banking is cool. Yeah, we're doing things that enhance entrepreneurship, but it's hard to communicate it because people don't really know. They don't really know what investment banking is. But now, investing into the sport, track and field, is more tangible. Like you can't miss that. It's going to be right. It's going to be more in your face. So to be able to do all of that after competing in it at the highest level, I think it's cool shit. This, for like your son to look up and that's all they know from their dad. I mean, what's more cooler than that?
yeah.
If I may say so myself, like it's cool. It's cool.
So I might be misquoting here, but I think I remember you saying doing a text somewhere where it said nothing against you if you're UTSA, UT Pyramid Basin, or UT Brand School, but you're not the University of Texas.
Correct.
Having said that, would you ever consider like expanding your UT Austin track things you're doing, like the branch UT schools?
Perhaps. Perhaps. I mean, this is very this yeah, yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, these are I mean, I'm Texas Longhorn. I love my school. I talk shit with the best of them because I love Texas is what it is. Um, but at the end of the day, it's to enhance the sport.
Mhm.
Um, at the starting at the amateur level and to the professional level, no matter where he went to school, it doesn't matter where he went to school at. It just it's easier for me to execute it first at Texas,
Okay.
which is in my backyard.
Yeah.
But if there's a way that we can grow it and scale it, then definitely for it.
Okay.
Same with high schools
Mhm.
because we'll do the same exact thing with my high school.
But not Texas A&M though, right?
Definitely
Yeah,
not
I got
Texas A&M. So
that.
there's an understanding there. It was inferred that A&M,
Would
nah,
not be included.
A&M, they're interesting. I don't think I think it's fun for like the tweets and stuff,
Mhm.
but I don't think UT really beats like have issues with OU like that.
Yeah.
Not really. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a rivalry game, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
A&M, we genuinely don't like.
Yeah. It's like almost like I hate almost.
Yeah, yeah, we
Like
genuinely do
Texas
not
OU is
like.
more like respectful competition,
Yeah,
okay, oh, you got us this year, you got us next year, whatever. A&M is like, yeah, it's like more personal, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. And oddly enough, Tennessee, they fancy themselves as being the real UT. It's
Hmm.
like I
What
was I was talking to a
where'd that
guy.
come from? Like,
I
how
don't
is that possible?
I don't know. They're delusional. I
Yeah.
mean, when you're in like a flower state and no
Mhm.
one knows who you are, you got to
Yeah.
hang on to something. But
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy. He asked me, "Did I go to Texas?" I was like, which is a weird question to ask when you just met.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I went to Tennessee." I was like, "Okay."
Okay.
And he was like, we're the real UT." I was like, "Brother, you do not like want to have this conversation."
Yeah.
And he goes off into like odd facts. He's like, we were founded in this year. And I was like, "Dog, come on. This is Tennessee. Like no one in their right mind. You I mean, you yell off the top of the building, what school is UT? No one's saying
No,
Tennessee.
no one. No one.
It's and no disrespect to them, but are we really having this conversation? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't like Tennessee. But I don't like Tennessee, but I hate A&M.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward. That's our last game of the season.
Yeah. So if like what's a game you want to go to? Like where Texas is gonna play? Maybe this year, next year, like, would you like do you want to go see Texas at Alabama, Texas at Georgia? Like what's the environment you want to go see
LSU.
LSU?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
yeah. I like LSU.
Yeah.
I I I like the culture of
Yeah.
LSU.
I'm a fan of LSU too. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed I mean, that's real smash mouth Southern
Mhm.
football. I love that. I would do that.
That'd be crazy. Texas LSU.
Yeah.
Actually, all these games SC like freaking crazy. Like
There's no bye weeks. It's
no,
like, I mean, we thought like Vanderbilt's
yeah.
of the world were, but there's no bye week in
I mean,
SEC.
all the games could be like highlight games. Oklahoma at Alabama, Oklahoma at Auburn. You know,
Yeah. Even Kentucky,
yeah.
like you can't go into that like expecting them not to
No,
play you.
you know what's crazy? I think right now, Florida is the Vanderbilt of the SEC right now.
Yes, they are. Which is funny to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Florida's the Vanderbilt SEC. Yeah,
Yeah. I'd say a school that I don't want to play right now. That's Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Oh yeah,
Because you don't know what version of them you're gonna get
no,
on that day. And
you
Lane Kiffin
you can get the
is
Kentucky version that lost or the one
yeah,
that stopped South Carolina.
exactly. Exactly. And you just don't know. And they're big, fast. I mean, that's football. They're
And,
big, fast, they
and Nick
play
Saban
hard.
said that one time. He was like, Ole Miss always had the athletes outside. Now they have the athletes inside.
Hmm.
They have the athletes inside to compete with us in Georgia now. They never
Hmm.
had that before.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin was finally able to recruit them to Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do weird stuff too.
Yeah. I
Uh,
just like Lane Kiffin. I just like the way he
What
trolls people, the
what
shit he
the
does.
you see what he does with the injury report? He puts
No.
like 25 players up there, and it's like you don't know, you can't take it serious. And then
Yeah.
like they'll fake injuries in the game.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even mad at it.
Mm.
I'm not even mad at it
Yeah.
because I already know the rules are gonna come
Mm.
to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But he's a guy you just you don't know.
Yeah.
And I would hate to play Ole Miss when they have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
After their loss, now they have something to prove.
Yep.
And I don't want to. I know LSU's playing them this week,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
that's going to be a game.
It's like insane. Every game is like must win. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want nothing to do with Ole Miss, and I don't take man.
No.
They got to do it again.
You don't have any more I mean, the Cotton Bowl thing this Saturday. After that, any like does Alabama who goes to Texas this year? It's Alabama or Georgia, I think.
Georgia.
Georgia, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And that'd be a good game. There's a lot riding on that too. Because Georgia now has a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And I no, I don't because I've seen it in track. I don't want to face anybody that has a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
They're gonna run with heart. And
Yeah.
I just I want the version of a team or a person that's like a shell of themselves.
Mhm.
That has doubt in them. Then I don't want them
If
angry.
Texas does not win the national championship, is the seeding a failure for them?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Every year.
Okay.
That would never not be the case.
Okay.
And we'll hold them accountable to that.
Mhm.
And I'm not like, yes, I'm a diehard Texas fan, but I'm not just saying it because of that. It's because I lived it when I ran there. I mean, that's the standard that we hold everything to at Texas. It's championship or bust.
Here's one for
100%.
you. I already know how you answer. Let's suppose hypothetical Texas A&M plays Georgia for the national championship.
Mhm.
Who are you going for?
What do you mean? That's a trick question.
No,
Texas.
no, Texas A&M and Georgia.
Texas A&M in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia.
That's what I thought.
Easily. Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
thought, yeah.
There's
That's what I
no
thought. Yeah.
no.
There's
no.
nowhere in the world you could ever like
No.
Texas A&M.
No, I would I don't like there would never be a scenario in which I want to see
Okay.
A&M win.
So I'm guessing you have no maroon clothes, whatever
No.
whatever the A&M colors is. You have none of
No,
that.
no, that stink like dirty. Nah. Purple is nah. I don't like A&M.
Yeah.
I don't like A&M, and I'm being mindful even when I say that because
Yeah.
I know people that I ran against that
Yeah.
went there. But it's
Yeah.
it's just not a because
That's
even
funny.
though like the football team didn't play them, we were still running against
Yeah.
them. Because track doesn't.
Yeah.
Track conferences only matter at your conference championship.
Okay.
So like before then, you race anybody.
Yeah.
Because different teams go to different meets.
Okay.
But then for conference, then you race your conference.
Mm.
And we didn't race them at conference. This was when I was in school.
Yeah.
I wish we did though. But it'd be interesting to see how things play out now.
Yeah.
I know Coach Flo at Texas. He's the man. I love him. He's a great man. He's just a great guy. And he wasn't my coach. He came right after I got done at
Mhm.
Texas. He came there and like turned everything up even
Mhm.
more. So I'm interested to see how things go now at SECs for track too.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch.
But one thing fun about the SEC, people talk about Oklahoma, Texas going to SEC, all the football stuff. But people forget, like, I think didn't Texas recently win the NCAA championship volleyball, stuff
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Oklahoma's won like 4 straight softball female championships, right? So there's more than football, right? All this
and our baseball team.
Oh yeah, baseball team is always like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
we grabbed a few people from the A&M's team.
Mhm.
Um,
Then y'all
yeah,
still your coaches, still the A&M coach or something?
yeah. No, we get a lot of hate, and I'm not even saying it's unjustified, but we get a lot of hate for the way the AD does business because he got flow from Kentucky.
Mhm.
And so we're known for poaching like
Yeah,
coaches and
yeah.
actually specifically coaches.
I mean, back in the day, y'all poached Mac Brown from North Carolina way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not doing too well now.
No, not at all. No, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, you know they still love Mac Brown too
Yeah,
at Texas. He's a legend there.
yeah. Even though he came from North Carolina, he was like the perfect Texas coach, right? He had the folksy manner, hey, how you doing, right? Just fit in there so good, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mac Brown's a guy. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So anything else you want to talk about?
No, we're good.
Okay, cool.
I have to use the bathroom though.
Yeah, we're about to wrap up right now. So I'll put your social media links into the show notes and stuff.
Okay. Is there a bathroom on this floor?
Yeah, you got to use these keys right here.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Is this space outside?
It's still the post office. Oh, yeah, that's the post office next door.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. That's so interesting. I thought it was a window behind.
No,
So what's behind?
that's like wood. That's a window with like wood on it and stuff.
You're right back.
All right. All right. So that's our talk with Byron Robinson. Thanks for your time today watching this. And remember to be great every day.